Hey there! Welcome to our bonus live stream. Yes, we have a bonus live stream because, let me just raise this up a little bit more. Normally today is not a lesson. So we usually do like 2 lessons in a row and then 1 Sunday off. But lately I've been feeling that we need more Korean practice, right? We all need more Korean practice. So I'm doing more live streams. You could actually don't expect them, but you might see more bonus live streams on the Sundays that are normally off, so that most Sundays I'd like to have a live stream, even if it's not a class. Like last week we had a class. What was the last class? Was that about 가지고 for using? I don't even remember what it was last week. It was something amazing, I'm sure. We had some class last week, and then this week there normally is no class, but I thought we need some practice with verbs, because last time I did a bonus live class, we talked about how to change descriptive verbs into adjectives, and we did all the rules for that. But since then and now, I've got something else that I want to share. I'll share in a bit, but it involves changing action verbs into adjectives. I've got a new something I'm working on for that, and it made me think about that again. So I think I'd like to do some more practice with that today. So we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail, but for anyone who's here right now, we haven't started yet. We're just kind of hanging out. We'll start right at the top of the hour with some practice. I think we'll do practice for about a good hour, making action verbs and adjectives. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, I promise you're going to need it. It's extremely useful. I use it like every other sentence. I'll make a sentence that does this concept. So yeah, let's see who's here. Keith, Kai. Who else do I recognize? Jihoon, Elaine, Lady Natbug. Who else do I recognize? Flo Purdy, Natalie. And that's all the people I really recognize, like that just really stick out. If I didn't say your name, I apologize if you've been here before. But I'm sure some others of you have been here before as well. Who else has been here a lot? And if I didn't say your name, let me know. Oh, hey, Mikey. I don't want to forget my regulars. If you're a regular, I want to recognize you. I want to be able to see your name from like a mile away. Be like, oh, that's Keith over there. Shadow Spoon. It's okay, Billy. I forgive. Thank you. Mindzo Driving. How much time can I learn A1 Korean? You mean A1 as in the delicious steak sauce? Or A1 is in the level of speaking ability specifically used for referring to foreign language ability. You'll have to let me know which one you're referring to. I'll assume you're talking about language ability, in which case I'm going to be making a new video about this exact question, which I still get asked all the time. But the really short answer is there's no answer. But the long answer is if you're in Korea a few years, it just depends how you're studying, how much you're studying. He said, sorry, Kermit. Oh, it's easy being green. I can't do Kermit very well. Let's see. But why did you just suddenly say it's easy being green? Oh, is that because you're a member and your name is green? That makes sense. Aaron says, first time catching one of your videos live. Nice. Yeah, this is not actually, I mean, if it's your first time, that's great. It's actually not one of my regular live streams. This is a bonus live stream, which they don't have like an outline. They don't have a worksheet. They do have notes, so I have stuff I'm going to be, I almost showed you, I almost spoiled it. I do have stuff I'm going to be talking about today, but they're not a regular live stream in that they're not a structured class with an outline and everything that goes along with it. These are more of like where we just kind of discuss a topic, or we'll practice something. Like I'll cover all the ways to say to wear in Korean, or we cover all the ways to conjugate verbs into adjectives or stuff like that. It's kind of like review of general topics that I wouldn't normally do during a classroom. Chelsea, welcome. 저는 처음이야. Oh, LY, you can do 나는 처음이야 or 저는 처음이에요. But you would never mix 이야, like the casual speech, with 저, which is humble, actually. Gabrielak says, hey, moving to Korea soon. I'm so excited. Nice. East Coast says, life's gotten in the way, but now I think I can handle language learning again. Stuff happens. Natalie, 안녕하세요, welcome. Mariah says, will this be uploaded on your Patreon to revisit? No, never. I would never do such a thing. It is actually just uploaded to YouTube. After this live finishes, you can always watch. All of my lives are still available on YouTube. You can just scrub through them and review. And this, though, will not be edited. So the regular classes that I do most weeks that are lessons, those ones I'll also edit a short version, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes that you can watch to get the lesson again really quick. This video is just a bonus live, so I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to, after I finish the live stream, I'm just going to relax. I'm not going to do anything else today. Just take the day off. That's why I do these. Normally I take a Sunday off. That way I have a day to kind of just relax. Otherwise I wouldn't have any days off because I work every day on stuff for you guys, actually, for new books, videos, courses, all that stuff. So I don't really get days off since I don't have a boss telling me what to do. But instead you feel this internal shame when you don't work that forces you to keep working, even though normally a regular job you would take time off regularly. So that's what this day is today. But even on today, I can't just kind of relax. So I'm doing this live stream as a bonus live stream, but then I get to relax tonight. So that's kind of my reward. But yeah, we have something cool I'm going to show you in a bit when we start with the lesson. We'll start with the lesson right at the top of the hour. This is just kind of wasting time here. I mean, hanging out, chatting, getting to know each other better. Mindzo says, thanks for your 100 video course. You are welcome. I am still happy with that course. I still recommend it as a free alternative to textbooks or whatever if you want to just learn Korean and get started on YouTube. So yeah, it's still, there's only one thing in there that is dated now, and that's about Korean age, but it's only in the fact that you don't need to say your age that way. Besides that, everything else is the exact same. So the course is still, as of 5 years ago, when I started uploading that, it's still all current. So yeah, feel free to use that course even today. Stephanie says, I'm a beginner, but really struggle to use all the stuff that I already learned. Yeah, that's the definition of a beginner. If you weren't struggling with the stuff that you're learning, you wouldn't be beginner anymore. You'd be probably intermediate. Intermediates can handle the beginner stuff. They're just struggling with the intermediate stuff. They're struggling with having fluid conversations, but they're not going to be struggling with, conjugating simple verbs and stuff like that. So it's exactly the level that you are supposed to be in. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but don't worry about it. It's fine. It's normal. If it makes you feel any better, I've never met anyone who learned Korean in like a couple months and sounded good. So if you've been studying Korean for several months and you're like, why can't I? How come I'm not learning it? How come I can't learn it fast? Well, that's literally how it always works. In fact, I have a video I'm going to be working on. I'm still planning it, but it's going to be my 20th anniversary. Many of you know this. It's going to be my 20th anniversary since I started learning Korean coming up this spring. In fact, I was able to locate one picture of me and a Korean friend that I had in 2005 March. And I know, because it's kind of hard to remember exactly when did I start, because it was really like, in the beginning, it wasn't really like official. I would learn a few words. I learned a few phrases in the alphabet randomly. But in March, at least, I know that I was learning some Korean phrases. So coming up this March will be my 20th anniversary sometime between February, March, and April, sometime then. And so I'll probably make a video with some like advice, things I would have said to myself if I could go back 20 years ago and say, hey, you. You're finally awake. But whatever I'd say to myself 20 years ago. So yeah, I have some stuff I'll talk about for that too. Yes, and I also want to get a cake. So I haven't gotten it yet because I think I'm going to wait till it's a little bit closer to my actual anniversary before I get a cake for myself. Mikey says, what's your MBTI? I believe like this comes with the disclaimer because it's actually, without getting this video demonetized because I just started. It's actually a load of baloney, MBTI. I mean, if you don't believe me, just literally Google it. Like, check it on Wikipedia. Check any single psychologist, any psychiatrist. I know it's not the same thing. Like anyone, it doesn't mean anything. But it's still fun. Still fun to do. I am ISFJ. I've done the test several times. I've done it since I was in high school when it was first like. People were starting to spread it around. I remember when I was in high school, this was like also pre-2005 before I started learning Korean. And then I did it as recently as a couple or 3 years ago. Same result. ISFJ. So I don't know. Doesn't really mean that much though. Let's see. Andri Ant says, beginner here. I know Hangul, but when I have a text in front of me, my mind goes blank. Yes. Yes, but because you won't be able to read the alphabet quickly until you also know the language. There's no way that you could learn only the alphabet and be able to read Korean. It doesn't make any sense. Like, think of it in terms of English. If you know how to pronounce the letters, you know, A, B, C, you know, the alphabet song, you know, you can say them backward. Does that mean you're going to be able to open up Shakespeare and follow along? No, you'll be like, I know those letters. Like, it's completely unrelated. The alphabet and the language are different things. So you can learn the alphabet in just, you know, an hour if you rush, you know, speed run Hangul any percent. You could do it, but you're not going to actually know it. You're not going to even be able to read it for a few days because you have to do sound change rules. Speaking of which, I have a sound change rule cheat sheet. If you want, it's free. You can find it on my channel. Or if you can't find it, you can Google Go Billy Korean cheat sheets. You'll find it. I actually have 6 cheat sheets, but this is my favorite one, the sound change rules. Anyway, it'll take a long time before you can actually read the language normally. So feel better about yourself, okay? Don't give yourself such a hard time. It's not easy. I mean, it is easy, but it takes a long time. So therefore it's hard, right? Skeptical, typical ISFJ, yeah. No, you know what I usually do though? I usually don't just easily say what my MBTI is, because whenever I meet a Korean person, I always like to tell them, oh, guess, because I know it's full. I know there's nothing to it, MBTI. I know it doesn't have any scientific backing for it. So I just make it say guess. They always guess wrong. No one's ever guessed correctly, of course. I used to do this with my blood type as well, because before MBTI became popular, I'd say not even that long ago, but like 2017, 2018 it's actually really recently that Koreans started to share and ask their MBTI. So before this, like around 2017, 2016, especially up until then, people wouldn't ask what your MBTI is. They didn't really know what that meant. They would ask what your, let me see if I can write this with my red pen. 혈액형. 혈액형 is your blood type. And of course there's A, B, O, and then AB, right? They don't know about they don't care about the plus or minus. They never care about that. It's only your blood type. And there are 4 options. And, you know, A is this or B is O, this kind of person, you know, really like outgoing type of person. And this O and AB, like that. B is like the really outgoing, like energetic, that sort of thing. And A is more like calm and timid. And AB is like you're either a genius or you're crazy. You've got too much going on there. You know, like there's these different things. So every time people would ask me, "Oh, 혈액형이 뭐예요? What's your blood type?" I would always say guess. Now you've got a 1 in 4 chance. That's pretty big. That's better than MBTI, where you have like a 1 in 24, right? Or no, there's not 24 because there's only 2 for each. So 12, right? Or 16? Yeah, 16. Sorry, I can't math. But this is, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of guessing. I only had, in the entire time I'd lived in Korea, started studying Korean, 2 people out of a 1 in 4 chance guess my blood type. That's how nonsensical this sort of system is. But yeah, MBTI is a similar thing, but a little bit more fun. It tells you more about the person than a blood type, which tells absolutely nothing other than what blood type do you need if you're getting a blood transfusion. But yeah. Irene says, hello from Ukraine. Nice. Learning Korean for 2 years and your videos help a lot. The biggest struggle is to start actually talking. Yes, that's true. In Korean, they have an expression, exactly what you're talking about. Keep dropping this pen. 시작이 반이다. 시작 means the beginning or the start, and 반 means half. So literally starting is half is what it means. And I'm sure you understand what I'm saying exactly as soon as I tell you this. We don't have this expression in English, but Um, good, well started is half done. I think there's some old English expression. I've never heard it. But yeah, starting is just half of it. So if you just start, you've already done half the work. It is intimidating to start speaking Korean. This would be the only place that I would recommend you need to get a tutor, or you should get a tutor if you can't find Korean friends to practice with. You just need to start speaking it somehow. How do you start speaking when your Korean's still at a low level? Well, you start poorly, of course, just like everyone. You start speaking just a little bit, just the best that you can do. But you should start doing something. You need to start making sentences. So well begun is half done. Yeah, that's something. I think I learned that expression when I Googled this idiom to see if we had an English equivalent, and that's what came up, but I never heard it before. Okay, but those two people did get it right. That's right. Those two people, they were the only ones who actually understood what the blood types meant, and everyone else didn't actually know what they're talking about. So, Lady Nat says, I used to be a solid ENTJ, but it's been very accurate for me. Yeah. For me, I've been a solid ISFJ. Like, it's not like leaning on the two sides. It's just, that's it. That's what I am. Doesn't really mean too much though, because you know the MBTI is basically like, do you enjoy hanging around other people or staying by yourself at home? I like staying by myself at home. You are an I. You like staying by yourself at home. Oh, wow, it's really me. How did it know that? That's if you read the MBTI quiz, the questions that it gives you, it's all that over and over again. It's like, do you feel like you often overreact to things when people present you with something that challenges your beliefs. You're like, I do feel like I might overreact. You tend to overreact when people challenge your beliefs. Oh, wow. How does it know me so well? So yeah, that's my MBTI rant. I mean, it is much more useful though than 혈액형. I'm happy that they replaced 혈액형 with MBTI. It's much more fun to hear someone's MBTI because you can actually learn something from it versus this, which is just like absolute nonsense. MBTI is the answers to the questions change depending on your mood. Yes, that's true. If you're like really in a good mood and you take the test, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I love hanging out with other people. Oh yeah, I love doing those things. And you get a different result than when you're sitting at home, crying after watching the end of a series that you're binging or something like that. Yeah. Katie says, I speak to the nice lady at the Korean grocery store for my speaking practice. That's great. Just don't bother her too much, but I'm sure she's happy to practice with you a little bit every time you come in. I used to, so many of you who've been following my channel know, I used to study French. I've studied French total of like 6 years. I can't speak it. Okay, I'm just going to say that. I can't speak it at all, but I did used to go to a French bakery. Every time I went there, I'd like speak in French, like, oh, please give me this, oh, how much is it? Oh, okay, thank you. And, it's like it's good. It's not really like a lot of practice, but it keeps you motivated and makes you like want to study more. You'll think about, oh, what should I say next time? I should like go over it in my head what I'm going to say. And then you get in the when you actually go there and like you forget what you're supposed to say. Last time I checked for a job, I think it was INFJ. Yeah, that's the negative thing about MBTI in Korea is that some companies, actually, many companies, not most, but many companies, as I've heard, will actually ask your MBTI during the interview process. How messed up is that? And if you don't have an MBTI that they're looking for, they won't hire you. Yes. Because a lot of people take that seriously, that they really believe it. Because, I mean, to be fair, it does accurately in some ways tell you about a person's personality. It tells you a little bit about them, things that they tell you. Are you I or E? Well, if you're I, it means this sort of thing. If you're E, it means this sort of thing. And maybe they don't want that kind of person at their company. It doesn't really mean you're going to be a good employee or not. But anyway, there have been some companies that do that sort of thing. That's where it's messed up. But besides that, I think it's just kind of fun. Chelsea, French is my first language. I can't say French is I don't know the word for last in French, or I would say it's my last language, and I could say it's my last language if I knew the word for last. How do I say last? It's my what's the worst? I know mine is bad. What's the worst? Like there's bien. I've totally forgotten more. Plus bien, plus mal. I don't remember. What's the superlative for worst? God. Dernier. Bonjour. Wands. C'est mon, I can't say moins long. long wands, I guess. Worst language. Rank your languages in terms of fluency. Okay, well, we can do this pretty easily. It's going to start with English, and then it's going to be Korean. Then it's going to be Japanese, and then it's going to be French after that. And then it's going to be the other two that I learned years ago and haven't reviewed, Mandarin and Cantonese in that order, which I only remember the stuff I learned from the Hanja side of it. I don't remember the words that I learned. I just remembered some of the Hanja that I learned because that can get reused. Although it's the simplified version that they have, although Cantonese didn't, Cantonese used a more traditional version, kind of. But the Mandarin stuff was like a simplified version of characters I still use, so I still remember some of that. But that would be the order of them. And no, I don't speak 6 languages. I speak one confidently. I speak Korean also, and Japanese on a really good day. I can order stuff. I can get around, ask directions, stuff like that. But no, I'm not starting Go-Billy Japanese any day soon. What's the COPS skills test? What's that? Keith says, I'm a solid I and then 50-50 the rest. Okay. I can get it. Just reading some of the comments I may have missed. What is the CAPS or COPS test? Billy's French has a Korean accent. I'm sure it does. I mean, if I was like trying to speak French, it would probably come out horribly. So not any day soon. Yes. So you're telling me there's a chance. Polyglot Billy blows minds in Seoul by speaking French to Korean people. Bonjour, je suis Billy. Enchanté. Comment appelez-vous? Voudrez-vous prendre coréen? Would it more nasally? I need to get more nasally. Yes. Yes, exactly. The more nasally, the more accurate the French gets. Le français, c'est la langue que tu parles le moins. C'est vrai, c'est vrai. Oui, le français, c'est la langue que me parle le moins. And I just repeated what you said, but that's practice for me, right? So that way, when I go to the bakery, I can be like, oh bonjour, oh oui, un baguette s'il vous plaît. Oh, le français est la langue que je parle le moins. And they're gonna be like, what the hell is this guy? I'm like, take your bread and go, freak. Le freak. I don't know what they're gonna say in French, so whatever word. You would have done COPS in high school. It ranks your interest and skills to help with job search, college path. Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I didn't know it had a name, but in high school, this would have been senior year of high school. I did do some sort of test thing where we did it on the computer and then it told us what job we could do. Is this what you're referring to? I got teacher, believe it or not, and I laughed at it. If you're talking about that, I think this might be what you're talking about. Yeah, I got a teacher. Let's see. Learning word just ran. Oh yeah. We should also start with the lesson for today. So I know you guys aren't here just to listen to me rant about MBTI and blood type. You guys want to learn some Korean. Hold on, I gotta fix this. Can't let my sponsor spot get ugly. It's gotta be pretty. There we go. Freshen it up a bit. Okay. last time we did a bonus live class and we learned how to change descriptive verbs into adjectives. For example, a really quick refresher, if you have like the verb 맵다 for spicy, right? Well, what if you want to say something like, I ate spicy kimchi? Well, we learned this last time. 매운 kimchi. We're not going to be reviewing this because these are a whole separate set of rules when you're working with what's known as descriptive verbs. Descriptive verbs, or you might have learned them as adjectives, they're actually just verbs because they conjugate. 맵다, to be spicy. So we learned this last time. We learned how to make descriptive verbs in the present tense, past tense, and future tense. This time we're going to be looking at action verbs. Or in Korean, these are known as 동사. So 형용사 are descriptive verbs. Or if you search into the dictionary, it might show adjective because that's the English equivalent. But these are descriptive verbs, and 동사 are action verbs. Oh, hey, Kai. Kai, thank you. I was just cleaning up the My Sponsors text. That was so when I write Kai's name, it looks a little bit neater here. Thank you so much, Kai. And you say top of the hour to you too. Let me check the chat for a second. Billy, did you go to school to study Korean or just all on your own? Oh, no, I started it completely all on my own. I wish I could have attended a Korean language program in Korea, though. I think that would have helped a lot because I didn't have like guidance, like someone telling me, hey, you're saying this wrong, or you should say it like this. Any of that, except for what I would ask from other Korean friends or people around me. And I ended up so I would have like bad habits like for years before I started my channel, even up till when I started my channel, because I never had anyone to tell me, hey, you're saying this a little bit weird, or you shouldn't say it like this. And plus I was also in Busan where they pronounce certain things differently. There are some vowels that are pronounced differently, a couple consonants that are pronounced differently. So I was getting that mixed in with what I was trying to focus on, which was standard Korean. Anyway, okay. So you can do that sort of same thing with an action verb. Now, what would that look like? Does anyone, if you don't know this already, what do you guess that could be like? If you take an action verb and you change it into an adjective. So by adjective, I mean you take something here and you add a noun. For example, kimchi is a noun. So we had 매운 kimchi for spicy kimchi from the verb 맵다, to be spicy, right? What about if you have an action verb? Like if you have the action verb, let's just say 좋아하다. 좋아하다 is to like. 좋아하다 is an action verb because you're doing something, you're liking something. Or maybe 먹다, to eat, right? Or 가다, to go. So if you have any of these verbs, what would it look like if you put these before a noun? Just think of that for a second. I'll give you the answer. I did eat spicy kimchi. Oh, so recently we went to the Korean market. We don't go too often, but we wanted, my wife makes really good kimchi. She has a really good recipe and she's just good at cooking Korean food in general. So I like her kimchi specifically more than the one you can get from the supermarket because it tastes fresher, it tastes better. So normally I'll have her make it and she'll buy like one head of cabbage to make it. But this time we're like, hey, let's get some more because it only lasts, a few weeks or maybe a few months, depending how much we eat. So let's get like, 3. Let's do like 3 heads of cabbage. Yeah. So we went to buy it and a single head of cabbage was like $3-4. Not because it was expensive there, but because these are right now it's in season. Actually, the season's kind of passing right now, but they're still kind of in season. So they're really big and they're cheap and they're heavy. You want the heavy ones when you're buying them. Heavier for their size is better when it comes to cabbage. That's the same for Napa cabbage as well as the ones that we have, the round bowling ball ones. So we were going to buy like, 3 or 4 of those. And we saw they actually had a 50-pound box that was only $15. So we bought a 50-pound box of cabbage. There are 16 heads in there. So yeah, we have plenty of kimchi now. I guess that's what I wanted to say. Okay, let's see what you guys got. Not 좋은 자동차, but yeah, I mean, you're right for adjectives. Oh, Samanda has a question. I'll answer that in just a sec. 좋은 kimchi. Yeah, that would be like good kimchi, but what about 좋아하는? What would that mean? 좋아하는 김치? Okay, but what would that mean? It's not liked because think about it. If you say it's liked kimchi, sorry, I'm just pulling up my stand here, it started to fall down. To be liked would be passive. This is just to like. So literally, if you had like 좋아하는 kimchi, it's like kimchi that likes. Actually, yes. It's kimchi that I like. 제가 좋아하는 김치. Kimchi that I like. 먹다, 먹는 김치. 제가 먹는 김치. The kimchi that I eat. Okay? 가는 김치 doesn't really make any sense. The kimchi that goes somewhere. Let's change the noun though. Let's change it from kimchi, which there really isn't anything you can do with it, to 사람, person. 사람, person. So, 좋아하는 사람, a person who I like or someone likes, or a person who likes something. 김치 좋아해요. I like kimchi. 저는 김치 좋아해요. But you can also have 김치 좋아하는 사람, a person who likes kimchi, right? What about 먹다, 김치 먹는 사람, a person who likes or eats whatever. If it's with an object like we had kimchi, or let's say a cat or whatever, you can translate it as that. And when it's a person, you can translate it as who, but it doesn't really matter how you translate it. But that's the function of this sort of thing. 가다. Let's say 한국에 가요. I'm going to Korea. 내일 한국 가요. I'm going to Korea tomorrow. 내일 한국 가는 사람. A person who is going to Korea tomorrow. 내일 한국에 가는 사람. Someone who's going to Korea tomorrow. 내일 한국에 가는 사람 있어요? Is there someone who is going to Korea tomorrow? This is how this works. If you already know this, we'll get to the rules in just a second. But if you've never seen this before, this sort of we can make adjectives with action verbs as well as descriptive verbs. With a descriptive verb, you might have like 좋은 사람, right? To be good, or maybe 재밌다, 재밌는 사람, a person who is entertaining, like a fun person, a funny person, or 이상한 사람, a strange, a weird person, like that. But you can do the same thing with action verbs. Although the rules to change an action verb to a adjective like this to describe a noun are going to be a little different than a descriptive verb, the concept is exactly the same. And all the rules, like I said, the rules are a little bit different because the way that verbs conjugate is different, but they're the exact same concept for all the tenses, for everything. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. First, though, does this make sense in general? Is there someone out there who watched this whole explanation and is like, what? If so, I can add a little bit more detail. I just want to make sure we're at the same page before we get started. 안녕하세요. 제가 가나 사람인데 빌리쌤이 좋은 한국어 선생님이라고 생각해요. Nice, welcome. 가나. No matter how often I do the test, it always starts with E, including F, and ends with a J. The dreaded 가는 김치 that haunts the streets of Seoul at nights. Yes, it's the dreaded 먹는 김치. 사람을 먹는 김치, right? Okay. Think about it like this. We have 사람 먹는 김치 and we have 김치 먹는 사람. What's the difference? Well, the first one, 사람 먹는 김치. So normally you can take out the noun and look at it. 사람 먹어요, someone who eats people. So kimchi, that eats people. So the human eating kimchi, the carnivorous kimchi, right? 사람 먹는 김치. But normally you probably would say 김치 먹는 사람. So a person 먹는 who eats 김치. 김치 안 먹는 사람. Someone who doesn't eat kimchi. Actually, 한국에서는 김치를 안 먹는 사람들이 생각보다 많아요. 정말 많아요. There are lots of people. 김치를 안 좋아하는 사람도 많아요. 솔직히 김치 안 좋아하는 사람 많아요. 한국에서. 한국 사람 중에서도 김치를 안 좋아하는 사람들은 그냥 뭐라고 안 해요. 그냥 말을 안 해요. 자기가 안 좋아한다고 말 안 하고. But if you ask them, they'll tell you that they don't actually like kimchi. I met a lot of them. Not all Koreans like or eat kimchi. 김치 안 좋아하는 사람, 김치 안 먹는 사람, 많아요. There are many people who don't like kimchi and who don't eat kimchi. Elsa says, Billy, I missed like everything so far. I can't redo everything. Is Kai asking? Oh, yes. So, we'll talk about that in a sec. Yeah. It's like the French and snails. What are you talking about? French people all like snails. That's like all you guys eat for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is snails and bread with cheese, right? That's what I heard. That's what I thought. And then wine, right? You drink lots of wine to cover the taste of the shrimp. I mean, sorry, the snails. So it's just like, snails and bread and butter and cheese. And then you drink lots of wine so you can forget what you just did and do it again the next day. Yeah, kind of like that. Not all Koreans like kimchi, believe it or not. In fact, not all Korean people can eat spicy food. I've met lots of Korean people. 매운 음식을 안 먹는 사람. 매운 음식. Spicy food. 매운, 맵다. 매운 음식. Food that is spicy. 안 먹는 사람. People who do not eat spicy food. 매운 음식 안 먹는 사람 많아요. There are many people who do not eat spicy food. Or I should say, 못 먹는 사람. 못 먹는. People who can't eat spicy food. I can eat spicier food than some Korean people because there are Koreans who don't eat spicy food at all. So yeah, it's not really accurate to think that all Korean food is spicy. Koreans all eat spicy food. There are lots of Koreans who just don't. Or they'll eat a little bit, but they can't eat a lot. And then there are some Koreans who, no matter how spicy the food is, they're just like, their stomachs are okay. I met someone, one of my friends would just eat pure capsaicin, the extract from peppers that makes them spicy. They would just like sprinkle that on their food. I'm not friends with them anymore. Not because of that though, but just randomly. But yeah, some people like have huge tolerance for spicy food and others can't stand it. So, okay. So that was just an introduction. We'll go over how this works. Don't worry. I'm not just giving you that and then say good luck. See you guys next time. The reason that I'm even talking about this is because I made 6 free cheat sheets. In fact, let me link those first. Cheat sheets. There we go. I've made 6 free cheat sheets for Korean. There's like sound change rules, there's postposition, there's hangul, there is like common particles and markers and a couple other things I can't remember right now. But they're really cool. Get them. They're totally free. And because a lot of you liked them, in fact, I liked them. I'm biased. I made them, but I made some more. In fact, I've made a few more and I'm working on a couple more. So I'll be releasing a few more of those coming up probably next month. You'll see a couple come up. And one of them that I made that will be released first is a cheat sheet of how to change, this one's for action verbs, how to change action verbs as well as descriptive verbs into adjectives. So all of the rules, and there are a lot, but I condensed them. So it's very nice for changing action verbs to adjectives. So there's for present tense, past tense, future tense, currently doing tense, used to do. So there's like everything in here. And both of them have all of these same rules and all of the exceptions are included. So this will also be coming out next as well. This is just on a regular piece of printer paper, so I haven't finished it yet, but this is the current version. And yeah, so we're going to be going through this. So first of all, we're going to be talking about the easiest way to do this, and that's with the present tense. Okay, I held this marker up like this for the past week, hoping that I'll bring it back to life, but I see it's already still, I don't know if it's going to come back. Okay. This is how to change any action verb into a adjective in the regular present tense that we've been doing, right? Someone who doesn't eat kimchi, someone who doesn't like fast food, a cat who cannot drive. These are all present tense, like right now, cannot drive, does not like, does not eat, like that. Not will not or did not, but doesn't. All of this is just the present tense, and it's so easy to make the present tense. You take a verb stem of any action verb, Doesn't matter what the verb is. You just take the verb stem. So let's do some example. We have like the verb 가다, to go, is just the verb stem is 가. And you add 는. You're done. 먹다, to eat, is 먹. 먹는. 먹는. Literally any. I'm not even going to give you more. That's it. That's all there is to it. There's only one exception. If the verb stem ends with a lir, so that's the L letter, you remove it first. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. You just remove it. And there's some reasons for that, because anytime this letter meets this letter, they don't have a good relationship, then one of them will kill each other. So you'll get rid of it. It's a regular type of thing with this letter as well as this letter. And it's because it has to do with the nasal sounds. It wouldn't really work if you were to say like 살는, 살는. Try it. 살다, to live. The verb stem of 살다 is 살. If you forget that you're supposed to remove this, normally it would be 사는, but let's say you forgot and you just left it as 살는. Try to say it. 살는, 살는. You can't, it's really hard. So I think just by trying to say it, you'll remember. But all of these you can say. You can say easily. It's not 먹는, it's 먹는, because it's a regular sound change rule. But yeah, that's all you have to know is there's just, this looks horrible. I'm rewriting this. Anytime you have a verb stem that ends with that letter, you remove it. That's it. Every other verb, you just attach 는. So you can already, just with this, you can already make like a billion sentences, because most of the time you do this, you're going to be using the present tense for this kind of sentence. Now, you're going to be using the other tenses a lot too, but for this sort of sentence, like someone who does this or doesn't like or whatever, it's going to be the present tense. So I want you to make a sentence. Try making any a short sentence is fine. A piece of a sentence, like I had 김치 안 먹는 사람. It's not a sentence, someone who does not eat kimchi, but it's okay. Make a piece of a sentence or make a sentence for me. Write it in chat. Anything you want, really, anything. You can be like 카메라를 쓰는 사람, a person who uses a camera. 한국어 공부하는 사람이에요. I am a person who studies Korean, like that. Anything. Elsa says, my school lunch had kimchi as one of the options. Oh, wow. My friend tasted it and now she loves it. I'm not a fan of it, but I can eat it. Yeah, that's how I felt about kimchi the first time that I tried it, is I thought, I'm not a fan, but I can eat it. It's okay. And then after you live in Korea for a while and you get used to it, you need it. Like, you're like, where's the kimchi? You'll do that after a while. Pierre says, oh my God, Pierre, you have the Frenchiest of French names in the world. Pierre. You know, I think if there was, do people in French know that there was a skit in an American TV show for kids called All That? There was a skit where it was Kenan Thompson, actually. He now does SNL. He was pretending to be a French dude, and he would sit in a bathtub with a raincoat on, and he would be like, ha ha ha, I'm Pierre Escargot. And he would say random French phrases like, il y a des petits enfants dans mon nez. There are little children in my nose. Ha ha ha. He would do that. That's all it was. Literally, that's the skit. And he would just do it. But they would do like multiple of these. Like every episode would have one of these. It was great. Yeah, the classic. Yeah, I'm serious. Pierre, search it. Pierre Escargot. All That, because the show, or Nickelodeon was the channel. Yeah, I'm serious. It was really stuff like that. Yeah. It was, I don't know, it was always some random French phrase. He would just say it like he's all fancy, and his pronunciation is horrid. Even as like watching it as a high schooler, I'm like, oh wow, his French is bad. Yeah. Okay, let's see what you guys have written. 슈퍼에서 책을 읽는 사람을 봤어요. Keith, perfect. I like it. Yesterday, I saw someone reading a book at the supermarket. 노래들을 하는 사람이에요. Oh, Kenneth, yeah, if you just remove 들, you're fine. Because you wouldn't need songs. You don't need to use 들 unless you're talking about something in general, like songs in general, like that. Otherwise, you don't need 들. Or if you want to emphasize, like, no, it's multiple. Just 노래하는 사람이에요 was perfect. 한국어 공부하는 사람이에요. Nice, Elsa. As a Ghanaian, we were meant to learn French since we're surrounded by French-speaking country. Oh, okay, that makes sense. 혈액형 싫어하는 사람. Nice. Scrambled eggs on toast. 안경을 쓰는 사람은 눈이 나빠요. Okay, Valeria. Nice. Yeah, it's the actor, Kenan Thompson. Yeah. 택시 타는 손님을 봤어요. Nice, 아연이. 판단하는 사람 MBTI 전문가예요. Okay. 저는 사랑해 한국. I love it. Korea. P.S. Snail in French. Yes, escargot. 저희 집에 사과를 먹는 고양이가 있어요. 저희 집에서, or 저희 집에, yeah, at our house. Okay, I see. So it's at your house, not that the cat's eating them at your house. Okay. 사과를 먹는 고양이가 있어요? Really? That sounds really funny. Why would the cat eat an apple? Is that normal? 저는 열심히 일하는 사람이에요. Nice. 피자를 좋아하는 사람이에요. Yes, nice. I like pizza. Basically, literally though, I am someone who likes pizza. Yeah. 한국에 가는 사람이야. I'm someone who goes to Korea. 한국 음식을 사랑하는 사람이에요. Yes, I am someone who loves Korean food. 사람 먹는 김치. As long as you get it, that's all you need. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Let me make one sentence for you real quick. Actually, let me just do... This isn't a sentence, I lied. I just wanted to give you a quick fragment. So something that you can all understand. Okay. 한국에 살다 is to live in Korea. Remember that because it ends with this letter, you just remove it. That's the only exception for this in the present tense. 한국에 사는 사람. So a person who, remember, it's who with a person or that with a thing, but you don't really need to translate it this way because you could say a person who lives in Korea, or in English, we could just say someone that lives in Korea. That, right? There's not really a rule to it. It's just it'll kind of help you that this is kind of how you can translate them when going from Korean to English. But anyway, 한국에 사는 사람. So I said a person who lives is present tense, right? I didn't say a person who lived in Korea. Yesterday, I met someone who lived in Korea when they were a child. Lived is past tense, right? Tomorrow, I'll meet someone who is going to Korea next year. Future tense, right? We haven't touched future tense or past tense or anything else yet. This is just present tense, right? Lives. Why am I saying this? Because if you understand that this is present tense, learning past tense and future tense will make a lot of sense to you. Whereas if you just learn it if you don't learn that this is present tense when you first learn it, it's confusing to later learn, well, at least it was for me. It might be confusing to you to later learn that past tense is how do you past tense a descriptive adjective? How do I make an action verb into an adjective that's conjugated into the past tense and attach it to a noun to define it? It sounds really fancy and confusing until you think about it like this. I'm just going to tell you a really quick example. 한국에 산 사람. Now, I'll tell you how this works in a second. I'll tell you how to conjugate this sort of thing because there are some exceptions. 살다, to live. But now we have, this is actually, I'll tell you, it's just the past tense. This is past tense. So, 한국에 사는 사람 is someone who lives, a person who lives, present tense right now, lives in Korea. 한국에 산 사람 is a person who lived, past tense, in Korea. 저도 한국에서 살아본 사람이에요. I'm also someone who has lived in Korea before. 산, past tense. I'm not saying 한국에 사는, that I'm living there right now, although I'm there a lot. I'm there 3 months or 4 months of every year. So you could say, 저도 한국에 사는 사람이에요. I guess I could. Although I'm not there most of the time. Most of the time, I 미국에 사는 사람이에요. But what about 한국에 사는 사람? So you can do this exact same sentence structure. And to change the tense, all you have to do is change this part. So let's look at how to make past tense adjectives from action verbs, right? It sounds really fancy when you say it like that, but when you put it together, it's pretty simple. Okay. So the way to make it, normally, again, this is not conjugating a verb to the past tense normally. You're not saying I lived in Korea. 한국에 살았어요. You're not doing past tense like that. This is past tense adjective. You're saying something or someone who or that lived or did or liked or ate or hated or thought about or anything like that in the past tense. There are some exceptions to this. In fact, there are 4 exceptions depending on the type of the letter that it ends with. But this is the really basic way that it works. You take a verb stem. So just like before, 먹다 is just 먹, 가다 is just 가, 하다 is just 하, like that. Super easy. And then if it ends in a consonant, so 먹 ends in a consonant, so you would attach 은, and you're done. Or if it ends in a vowel, like 가다, to go, ends with 가, it ends with a vowel, so you just attach a nian, and you're done. That's it. There's some exceptions, but this is the base form for all of it. I'll leave this up for a second. I'll give you some examples. 저는 언어 배워. You're trying to say I like learning languages. You would need to say learning as a noun. 배우는 것. 김치 eat 사람 김치가 사람을 먹어요. 사람 먹는 김치. 사람 먹는 김치. Yes. 빌리는 최고? 최고? Or I'm not sure what you mean. 최고의 한국어 선생님, the best. Is that what you meant? Or is this something else? Okay. So, because you just attach un or a nian, it's actually really easy to make past tense verbs for the most part. If it's not one of our exceptions, for the most part, let's do, oops. Let's make it specific. Make a sentence. Pick any of these 3 options. 책을 쓰다, to read a book. 김치를 먹다, eat kimchi. 한국어를 공부하다, to study Korean. Or you can change, you can use whatever you want. But if you don't know, you can pick one of these 3. Make a sentence or make a piece of a sentence using these in the past tense. Again, the sentence itself could be in the present tense or the past tense or future tense, doesn't matter. You could say, I saw someone who ate kimchi, or you could also say, I saw someone who eats kimchi. You could say, I see someone who ate kimchi. You know, I see someone who eats kimchi. You can mix the tenses like that, but for the tense of the verb, someone that did something, try making one of these into either a full sentence or just a fragment of a sentence. And I'll check them. 사람이 먹는 김치. Yeah, kimchi that people eat. 사람이 먹는 김치 is kimchi that 사람이 먹어요. A person eats it. Precious LaFleur, we'll go over, don't worry, we'll go over exceptions, such as 살다. We haven't gone over any exceptions. We've just talked about the base form. So these are verbs that work with the base form, and a lot of verbs do. Most verbs do, but there are a lot of exceptions. So 책을, let's see. 책을 쓴 사람 너무 똑똑해. Yeah, the person who wrote, again, the person who wrote the book is so smart. Perfect. 일본에 간 사람이에요. I'm someone, or they are someone who went to Japan. Very nice. 김치 먹은 고양. Small typo, 고양이. The cat that ate kimchi. Yeah. Oh, Flo Purdy. Flo Purdy. I actually mentioned that to my wife before I started. I'm like, I need to have a cake. I need to get a cake for my 20th year anniversary, which is coming up. The cake fund. Gotta put, it really should be 2. Yeah, it should be 2 candles because it's been 20 years. I don't think I could put 20 candles on a cake. Thank you so much, Flo. And yes, I totally am going to be getting a cake. I just haven't decided like what kind of cake do I want. German chocolate sounds good. Angel food cake sounds good. Even just a plain like regular cake sounds good too. Maybe like cheesecake. Yeah, maybe like Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. Or there's a really nice bakery, pretty popular in LA called Porto's. Anyone here knows what, well, you probably know what it is. They also have pretty good cakes there too. Pierre! 빌리 선생님, 이게 좀 돈 선물이에요. This is a money present. 열심히 일하기 위해서. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Billy. De rien, mon ami, Pierre. Pierre. Draw a little snail next to it. Are you more of a snail French, or are you like a baguette French? You could tell a lot about a person by which one of these they'll pick. No, actually, you gotta be 3 options. There are 3 types. There's cheese, there's bread, and there's snail. I think for me, I'd probably be bread. I'd probably have to pick bread. Bread's a staple. You can be full and have like a piece of bread with butter and it's still good. Like even when you're full from a meal, you can kind of like still get a little bit of bread and nice French bread. I used to, a grocery store I went to, they used to have a sign. I wonder if I'm responsible for this. So they had a sign that said, if the bread is not warm it was before 7 o'clock. If the bread's not fresh, it's free. There was a sign that said that. And the idea was, the reason they put up that sign is because they frequently make new bread, like every couple hours. So it's always going to be nice and warm. So it's just a sign to say, hey, our bread is always warm. Try to find one that's not warm and we'll give it to you for free. That's the idea. I would go there at 7 o'clock and I'd be like, this bread's totally cold now, because they didn't actually make it every few hours. And I would get free bread. I did that probably 4 or 5 times, and then they removed the sign. I swear, I totally swear, this is a true story. The sign is not there anymore, and it disappeared after I did that. Like, I think it was 4 or 5 times I did that. Each time they'd call a manager, and I'd be like, I'm sorry, is that sign not accurate anymore? Should you remove the sign? Like I'd ask them like I didn't know. And they'd be like, fine, if we get your free $1 bread, whatever, get out of my store. But I kept doing it because it's free bread and it was good, right? It just wasn't like warm and fresh like they promised. But yeah, they got rid of that sign really quick. Haven't never seen it come back. Portos, yes. Okay. Just going to read the comments really quick. Yes, M, there are exceptions, but don't worry about it. German chocolate invented in Texas? Really? I didn't know that. Yes, nominalization. Bang. Yeah, it's got to be, I think bang's the correct answer. But I don't know, maybe there's some cheese people here. Chocolatine pan au chocolat. Okay. All right. So, let's talk about some exceptions. Oh, actually, let me give you a really quick example because I didn't give you an example. So you can have something like Tegger. Why did I write teg? It's because I was thinking about this part before I wrote it. Tegger 쓰다. So you can have 쓰는 사람, a person who writes, present tense, a book, or the person who wrote a book. And you can say I am 예요, a person who wrote a book, or I was 였어요, right? Sorry, it's messy. You get the idea. 였어요. I was a person who wrote a book. The tense you end with is unrelated. That's whatever you want. But now you have person who wrote, not who writes, but who wrote a book. Okay, so that's the base rule. That's, like I said, there are some exceptions. The first exception that you need to know is that if the verb ends with this verb stem, prepare yourself. This is really hard. Because I know last time I told you this. Last time I told you this, right? So if it ends with the lir, like 살다, you gotta remove it, right? I told you this, but this is different because now we're talking about the past tense. So what you need, if it's the past tense, remember we had 살다 became 사는, right? If it's the past tense, it's totally different because if it ends with this letter, you got to remove it, okay? And that's all you have to do. I'm joking. That's really all it is. For this letter, if you have a verb that ends with it, you just remove it again. So then you remove it and then you do the exact same thing as the regular rule says. If it ends with a consonant, you add un. If it ends with a vowel, you attach a nian. So if you remove this, it's always going to now end with a vowel because there's no consonant left. So you attach this. So 살다, you remove it and you attach 산. That's it. Now there aren't a ton of these verbs anyway. I can think of two that are really common. Actually, 들다 to pick up something. I guess there are a few, but two really common. 살다 is probably the most common to live. Let's see. 울다 to cry, 놀다 to play. Yeah, there are a few. 만들다 to make. So that's the first exception. So if you have 만들다, to make something, you can have 김치를 만든 사람. We'll just use 사람 because it's easy to understand. Person who made 김치, or present tense, who makes 김치. 김치 만드는, actually you don't need to use 만들다. There's another verb you can use, 담그다. A couple other verbs you can use. But anyway, that's all there is to it for this that letter. Another really common one you should know, actually it's not super common, if the verb stem ends with this letter, the 시옷, the S letter. For this one is a little tricky because, first of all, if it ends with this letter, in fact, if it ends with any of these exceptions, you're probably going to be removing them, right? You can kind of guess that. But if it ends with this one, first you remove it. So for example, let's do 낫다. 낫다 is like to recover, like to get better. Like if someone says, oh, I hope you get better quickly, that's what they're going to use. Or I quickly, 나았어요, I got better quickly. 빨리 나았어요, or whatever. So you get the stem, it ends with this letter, so you remove it. So you might think that because it now ends with a vowel that you should attach a nian, but actually it's not. This one is actually an exception that you have to remember because you want to attach un. I know it doesn't look like it, but you attach un. Why do you attach un? It's got something to do with the original vowel at the bottom, but I can't tell you why. I'd have to research it. I'm sure there's a logical explanation for why the sound gets carried over, not just with this, but when conjugating regular verbs to the yo form as well, it extends out like this. So you get 나은. That's it. You don't do this though for the present tense. For the present tense, you just attach 는 like normal. You get 는 for the present tense. So this is really only a past tense exception. That's why I said the present tense is really easy to do. You just attach 는 or remove the L letter. That's it. For past tense though, there are some exceptions. So for lir, you remove the lir. That's it. The L letter. That's it. That's all you have to do. For this one, you have to also add un instead of a nian. So I'll give you a couple examples. Again, these verbs are not common. There are only a few of them, and there's only One of them, in all of Korean, there's only one that's a descriptive verb. All the others, all of them are action verbs except for one. Let's see. Natta is going to be the most common, but I should say, actually, let me give you a couple more. Putta. Putta is like to pour something. So you'd have pu-un. That's it. Like, it's not really hard. If you have, let's see, so there's 쳤다 is to row. Again, this isn't really that common. 저은. 짓다 is pretty common. 짓다 would be like to build, to construct something. You use this for like building a building or something like that, or making a name, constructing a name. 지은. Like that. But again, it's not super common for verb ending, so just remember that if you see it, you're going to add un. Okay, next exception. This one is probably the most common one you're going to see, and that's with the piup. This one actually, if you already know how to conjugate this one for regular yo form, it's the same thing. So whenever you see a verb with this, you remove it. But then you also add the syllable u. And then you do the regular conjugation rules like before. So in this case, because it ends in an u, it ends in a vowel, so you attach a nian, and you're done. So anytime you see an action verb, oh, actually, there's something else I have to talk about for that other one. Well, I'll go back to it in a second. Okay, so for an action verb, if you see a verb that ends with this, you can actually go straight to un. So let me give you some examples. Actually, no, I want you to make this. I'm going to give you some examples of verbs that I want you to change. So let's do 굽다 for to bake, and 눕다 for to lie down, and let's do 돕다 for to help. Pick one of these three verbs and make a fragment of a sentence or make a sentence using this in the past tense. You don't have to do this, but at least make sure you have good notes if you're not. Elsa says, is 저은? Nope, 저은 is from 졌다 in the past tense. And M, no, we're going to be talking about that. Yeah, we're going to be going back to that. Don't worry. Yeah, that's actually even on here, but I skipped it. I was getting too excited about these exceptions. Oh, my music stand is breaking. I've had this music stand since I literally was in elementary school. Great. All right. I've had this music stand since I was in elementary school, and I was playing the clarinet. And it's yeah, it's not in good shape. It's not happy. And even though I lock it, it still keeps falling down, like slowly moving down. But I don't know what to replace it with because like it still works. It still works. It's just keeps slowly going down. Okay. 구운 스테이크. Yeah. 누운 사람이에요. I'm someone who lied down. No, I mean, grammatically, you've got it right. 구운 고기는 진짜 맛있었어요. Okay, the meat that I cooked, yes. Or baked, yeah. 저는 어제 케이크를 구운 사람이에요. I am someone who baked a cake yesterday. Yeah, nice. Okay, so I need to tell you something though. So yes, that's how you do it. You do 굽다 becomes 구운. Again, you can just go straight to this. Usually, this rule that I told you with this letter and this letter, as well as the next letter we're gonna do, which is tigut, These are not always. There are verbs where you don't do this and you have to memorize them separately. For example, I said that when you have a verb that ends with this letter, you remove it and you attach un, right? But not for every verb. For example, utta, to smile or to laugh, is not un. It is usun. So you still attach un, but you don't do it because of this. You just do it because it ends with a consonant. Usun. Someone also in the chat wrote shita, which is to rinse, like to wash something or to wash yourself. That's also shisun, not not shiun. Let's see what else there is. Those are the most common ones, though. There are a couple others that you might find, but these are the most common ones. So it's not always. I would just memorize these separately, though, since they're really common. And the same with piup. In fact, a lot, maybe about a good half of action verbs that end with this do not follow this rule. You actually just attach. So normally, remember, I said you'll attach un. You'll remove the piup, you'll attach un. Well, a lot of them will also just attach un as normal after the consonant piup. And there's a reason for that. I actually made a video all about why that happens. Why are some piup verbs irregular and why are others not? And it has to do with there being an older character, that this was the words with this were originally written with a different letter that was actually a soft B sound, so that when you conjugate it, it would leave you with kind of a like an air sound, which ended up forming into this un sound we have today. And other ones were written with this actual same letter and did not change that way, which is why you would add un. It's a video on my channel. If you search piup, you'll find it on my channel right away. So most of the time, half and half the time, it seems, you'll do this. But a lot of them also just stay like this. For example, tapda, like to grab something, to grasp, is just tabun. It's not taun. Chopda, to fold, is tobun. Like to close an umbrella or to close something by folding it, to fold something up. Tobun. Popda. Popda is to pick something, or also can be used for printing out something. Bobun. Ipta, to wear clothes, to wear something. Ibun, not iun. And there are a few others, but these are some common ones I just gave you. So keep an eye out. It's not all of them. And the same thing goes for the next and final exception that we're going to learn, the tigat letter. This one also, about half of the time, applies, where if it ends with this letter, you remove it, and then you attach a lir, but then wait. So actually, let me show you what that looks like. Let's take a really simple verb, tita. Tita, to listen to something. So how do you say someone who listens to music? You can say 음악을, present tense, 듣는 사람. Easy, right? No exception. But in past tense, however, it ends with this letter, so you remove it. You attach this letter instead, to, but then wait, if it attaches this letter, don't we have to remove it because we have to remove this letter? Actually, no. Then you just do the regular rules. It doesn't end in a consonant or ends in a vowel. And this is always going to be un. So basically, you can go really quick and you can say, attach this, if it helps. Or more easily, I think actually, just to think that the tigat changes into a lir is probably going to be easier in your head to think about. It follows the regular rules of attaching an un after a consonant, but you have to replace the tigat with a lir. This only happens though about half of the time. So it's not like you should say, oh, it ends in that letter. Oh, better at it. No, I would be careful because a lot of them don't do it. Just as much don't. It's almost like exactly equal, the number of verbs that do this and the number of verbs that don't. Why? I actually don't know. I'd be curious to figure out, why do these ones have their own, why do some of them do this and other ones don't? I'm going to guess it also has to do with the original way that they were written. The original way they used to be pronounced had a different sound that would change into a softer sound, but I'm not sure. Probably, though. It's probably going to be something just like the piup reason. Okay, so again, you remove the tiga, you replace it with a lir, and then you attach un because it ends in a consonant. But a lot of verbs don't do this. 닫다, to close, like you close a door. 문을 닫았어요. 닫다 is just normal, 닫은. It ends in a consonant, you attach this. 받다, like I received something. 선물 받았어요. I got a present. 선물 받은. 사람, someone who received, someone who got a present. It's not it's just 받은. So, yeah, keep an eye out for these, as well as 믿다 is another common one, to believe. It's just 믿은. 나를 믿은 사람, someone who believed me, like that. And then there are more on this sheet, which you'll get in a few weeks when I release it. Like there actually is a verb that becomes both. Let me show you. If these both look like the same verb to you, that's because they are. 묻다 means to ask, although it could be either. And then 묻다, this one means to bury. They're spelled the exact same way. You say them the exact same way, but when they conjugate, they're different. 묻다, to ask, becomes 물은. Sorry, I wrote that really weird. 물은. And 묻다, to bury, you could probably guess, becomes 묻은. So yeah, it's the same, starts off the same, but they have different meanings. So 물은 would be asked and 묻은 would be buried. But if you mess it up, I mean, they'll know you were talking about asking something and not burying something. They'll know what you're talking about by the context. But yeah, those are also different. Okay, and those, yes, are also on here as well as other exceptions. That's all the exceptions for past tense, fortunately. And of those, I would say you don't really need to focus on the D or the S one. The B and the L ones are the most common. If you only want to focus on a couple, if you don't want to learn all of them, just focus on the B exceptions and the L exceptions. So piup and lir. Those are the most common you're going to see. Let's do a few sentences. So now that you know what you know, I want you to make this sentence. Let's see. No. Not I saw. Let's do. Let's keep it simple. Charsu is someone who ate kimchi. Charsu will just be, you could just do Charsu, or you can change the name if you don't like Charsu. I like Charsu. Speaking of which, Charsu is going to totally be in Squid Game Season 3, just like I predicted. Told you so years ago. Okay, Charsu is someone who ate kimchi. It's a pretty dumb sentence, I'll admit myself, but I'm trying to think of something that's really simple that anyone can do. If this sentence looks too simple to you, make a different sentence. Surprise me. Hey, Keith, you have a good point. Small typo but 깨닫다 is 깨. So it has a double K or G there. 깨닫다 is because, yeah, 깨닫다 is 깨달은, but 닫다 is 닫은, right? It's kind of confusing, although they're unrelated verbs, but yeah. Burying something in Animal Crossing. 철수는 김치를 먹은 사람이에요. Nice. 철수 김치 먹은 사람이에요. Nice. 철수는 김치 먹은 사람이에요. Nice. 철수는 김치를 먹은 사람이다. Nice. 김치를 먹은 사람이에요. Yes. Nice. Nice. The most important thing is that you understand the concept. Even if you conjugate it a little wrong, no one did, but even if you conjugated it a little wrong or you missed this particle or you did that's not what's important. It's that you get the concept. Okay. Yeah. I won't even write you guys got it. I won't even write it up here. That's exactly what it is. And there are lots of ways you can say it. You could just be like 김치 먹은. So in this case, past tense, 먹은 사람이에요 or whatever. Okay. Now let's talk about future tense. Okay, so you can also conjugate verbs into the future tense. So what would that look like? I met someone who will go to Korea next year. Someone who will go, not someone who likes Korea or ate kimchi, but someone who will do something or who will be something, right? I saw someone who will make kimchi. It's an awkward sentence, I know, but you can do this with the future tense too. And the way it works, oh, hey, ministry. Oh, hey, mom. Thanks. Okay. 한국에 갈 사람을 만났어요. Yes, Pierre. Oui, oui. Très bien. Parfait. Parfait. Okay. The way to make future tense is actually I feel like you guys need a break. The way to make future tense is exactly the same as past tense, but instead of attaching instead of attaching or a nian, you attach or a lir. Exactly the same exceptions. I'll leave this up just for a second and then I'll show you. And then I'll prove it to you. It's the exact same thing, but with these letters, with this syllable or this letter instead of this. Woohoo! Isn't that nice? You don't have to learn like a bunch of exceptions. If you learn the exceptions once, it's the exact same thing. They have the exact same exceptions with the same letters, the same way it works. Even with the shiot letter going away and attaching the un instead, now you attach an I'll show you. Bien sûr, parfaitement. Give me something to say in French, and I'll say it like a really enthusiastic, emotional French person. Like as emotional as I can get. Like he's so passionate about France. In a good way. 제가 김치 요리할 사람. So if the verb is 요리하다, but you don't say I'm going to cook 김치, 요리하다. You would say make, or you could say make 김치, 만들다. I'm going to have to really force my brain to not view nun as the topic marker. If you see it after a verb stem, that couldn't be the topic marker. But if you see it after a noun, then it is. Merci beaucoup. Okay. So let's take a look at this. I said that if you have a verb stem that ends with this letter, you remove it and you attach un, right? Well, now you just attach So if you have nata, right, you get na Exactly the same. Instead of naun, past tense, now you have na을. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it literally is the same thing. Remember how I said you add un? Well, now you attach ur. And the exact same exceptions don't or do happen. Like, remember how I said, let's find one of the, ipta, to wear, is not it's not iun, but it's ibun, right? Well, now with future tense, what do you think it's going to be? Iber. I'm going to go quick because, I mean, literally it's the exact same thing. I just want to show you that it is. I said if you have this letter, you remove it, right? And then you attach a nian, right? That's supposed to be a nian. Well, now you attach a lir. So there you go. So now it's 살다, to live. Normally you remove it and attach this, right? But now you remove it and you attach this. So you might say, oh, it's different. I just removed the da to make it. Well, yeah, you're doing the same thing though, but it ends up looking like the verb stem itself. 놀다, to play. Instead of, before we would have nun, now we have 놀. Just like exactly the same thing. Easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. Oh, hey, Kai. Tippity top of the hour to you. Rightio. Someday I'm going to go to Britain and just get punched. What are you doing? Are you making fun of me? No, I just love the way you guys talk. We don't talk like that. No. I swear you guys do. That's it. Thank you, Kai. Okay, yeah, you remove the leader and you put it back. I mean, technically you are putting it back and removing it, but if it helps, you could, I mean, if it's easier for you just to remove the ta, I think it's easier just to think of these rules as the exact same thing, personally, because you only have to learn them once and then know for, future and past are the exact same thing. You just switch the nians for leers and you're done. One more. This one, I said that it's like, oh, some of them do, some of them don't. You have to like remove the D, remove it, and then change it to a leer, and then you add an right? Well, yeah, now you just do the exact same thing and add with the exact same verbs that do and don't. For example, I said tata does not, you get tadun before. Well, now you get, can you guess? Yep, there you go, ta들. But some other ones do. Like, you know, we had 듣다 for to listen, becomes 들은. Well, now what do you think it becomes? It becomes 들을. That's all there is to it. That's all of the exception. Oh, and then same with 묻다 and to ask and to bury. Instead of 물은, now you have 물을. 묻은, 묻을. Same thing, same exceptions, exact same exceptions become the exact same way. Object. I don't think I've seen your name before. Welcome, object. Are you new here? Object. We're just going to write object squared. Thank you, object squared. These lessons are still way above my level, but I'm doing my best to be able to participate in them soon. Keep doing what you do. 너무 감사합니다, 선생님. Thank you, object. I know, I don't get the name, but it's interesting. Stands out. Yes, 걷다, 걸을. Exactly. 걸. Because normally you can also know if it does it. It's the same verbs that do these sorts of exceptions when you're making the regular yo form. Like 걷다, to walk, becomes 걸어요. When you make the yo form, it's also going to become one of those exceptions when you do these things. So it's not like you have to relearn every verb and every exception for every time you learn a new tense. It's the same. You learn one time, this verb is one of those verbs that does this thing. Like, oh, this is one of the verbs that removes the bia. It's going to be one of the verbs that does it here too. It's always going to be one of the verbs that does it. It's never going to be like, oh, this is the verb that does this, but not in this form. No. If you learn a verb has an exception, it's always going to have that exception with the forms that have those exceptions. Now, that doesn't mean every grammar form is going to do it, but I mean, every grammar form that has exceptions will apply to those same ones. So it's not like you have to learn a different way, like, oh, it's tader here, but past tense it's here, and future tense it's this. But when you use this with a different form, it doesn't become, no. It's always going to have it's always going to be the same verbs that do these same things. John Z says, in your beginner lesson, you added 것 같아요 for the end of sentences. Yeah, I can mention that. So we're not done with this form, but I wanted to transition to a really common way to use this. Now, we've been focusing this whole time on making sentences that are honestly a bit ridiculous. Like, I saw a cat that will eat cheese. Who's going to see a cat that will eat cheese? Cats don't eat cheese. They don't really eat cheese. They don't like them they don't like it that much. It also hurts their stomach if you give them too much dairy. Anyway, when are you going to see a monkey that eats a person? 사람 잡아먹을 원숭이를 봤어요. When are you going to see a monkey that eats a person? I mean, you're not gonna, because most monkeys, I heard, don't eat people. I'm pretty sure. All of the sentences we've been making are a bit ridiculous, because most of the time when you're making this kind of sentence, it's just going to be in the present tense, right? I saw a monkey that eats people. Now there's a realistic sentence. I saw a cat that likes milk. 우유를 좋아하는. Most of the time you just need present tense. So why did I teach you past tense and future tense? Why bother, right? Because you're going to use it every single day in every single sentence you say. You're going to use these forms. How? In the form 것 같다, which is how you say you think something. This is 것, or it's also call, commonly call in speech. Anytime you want to say, I think that something. I think that someone is, or someone did, or someone will do. You are going to use, right before 것 같다, exactly what we just learned. You slap it right here. You just like put it right there before 것 같다. Nothing else you need to do. And then you conjugate 같다 however you want. You can say, in the regular present tense, you can say 같아요, 같은데요, 같네요, anything like that. You typically don't need to say 같았어요, I thought. Most of the time, Korean people will stick it in the present tense. So conjugate 같다, something in the present tense, however you want. 같아요 is the most simple way. If you're talking with friends, 같아. In spoken speech, this becomes pronounced often as 같아 or 같아요. Just know that it's how it's pronounced in everyday speech, but it's not how you spell it. But you'll hear it as 같아요 a lot. So if you want to say, I think 철수 likes, present tense, likes 김치. 철수가 김치를, optionally, 김치를 좋아하는 것 같아요. Now you have a native level, well, I shouldn't say native level, but yeah, it is native level, sure. A perfect sentence. I think 철수 likes 김치. I think 철수 went, past tense, 가다. 간 것 같아. 간 거 is also fine, 거 or 것, both acceptable. 간 거 같아요. 한국에 간 거 같아요. I think he 한국에 간 거 같아요. You wouldn't say 한국에 갔어요. 것 같아요. That doesn't make any sense. He went to Korea. Is what I think is I think. It wouldn't make sense in Korean. 한국에 간 것 같아요. So what you're doing, 것 is a noun. 것 means thing. This is the noun. Instead of saying like 김치 좋아하는 사람, 김치 좋아하는 것 같아요. I think they or whoever likes Korean. So this 것 is that noun, and whatever verb you conjugate goes directly before here in any tense. So now you can say, I think something does, I think something did, or I think something will do. This is the exact same form when you change descriptive verbs into adjectives as well. And I do have another sheet coming out, which is descriptive verbs to adjectives. So it's this exact same thing for all three, or actually more. There's a little more we haven't covered yet. For all the tenses, for descriptive verbs, as well as for action verbs. So you can say, I think something is, or was, or will be. And now with action verbs, I think someone does, did, will do. So, Cosma, today is my birthday. Hold on. What's wrong? I gotta convert it. Oh, sweet. That's like $5. Thank you, Cosma. I have to make sure I put the right number of A's. Forgot it's like 3 of them. Why is it 3 A's? Today is my birthday, and after watching almost all of your live streams, wow, I decided to donate. Thanks for everything, Billy. Thank you, Cosma. Happy birthday. Oh, wait. 생일 축하합니다. 생일 축하합니다. 사랑하는 Cosma님. 생일 축하합니다. That's the birthday song. Green Mind says it can be it seems. Literally, it means it seems. But it's the way to say I think. But yes. Apparently, Ministry of Mom says, apparently it doesn't translate to think. No, it does. It does. It literally never means think. If you want to say literally think, you use the 생각하다 form with quoting forms. But more commonly, people use the it seems. Literally, you're saying it is the same as this is what you're literally saying. But that's how you express it seems to be this. But it seems to be is an indirect way of saying it's my opinion. In my opinion, it seems to be this. Literally is how you say, I think something. So this is definitely the form we use for saying, I think. And it's more common than 생각하다, which is direct, like my thoughts are as follows. I think this way is what you use with 생각하다, which is fine too. If you're expressing like your opinion, like I want to say my opinion on this is what I think is, then you use 생각하다. For regular things, I think that's a good idea. Or yeah, I think I'm going to go there tomorrow. Or I think that Charsu ate your pizza. You better talk to him. That's all going to be done with 것 같다, because you're not saying my opinion is, you're just saying, yeah, I think Charsu ate your pizza. Like, casually, I think. So yes, let's do a simple example sentence. But anyway, this is exactly all you have to do. You take any tense you want, stick it before 것 or 거, and then conjugate 같다, and you're done. So let's say, 강아지가, the dog, the puppy, 숙제, homework, 먹은 것 같아요. I think the dog ate 먹은 것 같아요. I think they ate the homework, 숙제를. 숙제는, you can also say 숙제는, as for the homework, 강아지가 먹은 것 같아요. I think the dog ate it. You could also do this. Now it's not, it's not a common sentence. Just take this as an example. 먹을 것 같아요. I think the dog, now we have 먹을 것 같아요. I think it will eat the homework. 먹을 것 같아요. 숙제를 먹을 것 같은데? I think the dog's gonna eat the homework. Hurry up and stop the dog. 숙제 먹을 것 같은데? I think the dog's will eat the homework. 지금 숙제를 먹는 것 같은데? I think the dog's eating. Present tense. The homework. Or, if you really want to emphasize that it's going on right now, is currently 먹고 있는. Note, 있는, 있다 is actually a descriptive verb, but 있다 and 없다 become in. I'll just write 없다 as well here. 있는 and 없는 become 있는. Even though they are descriptive verbs, they follow the conjugation of action verbs. There's a reason for that, but you don't need to know. 있는. So, 있는 것 같아요. So now you can have 먹고 있어요. Normally is currently eating. 먹고 있는 것 같아요. Let's do a different one. I think Charsu likes the present. I'm going to give you the words. I'm not supposed to write the name in red, but you can put anyone's name here. Anyone's name here. Present is 선물. Like is 좋아하다. So I think Charsu likes. Let's do that first. I think Charsu likes the present. So you give Charsu a present and they open it. I think they like it. Because after that, we're gonna try. I think they liked it. And before you give them the present, I think they'll like it. Future tense. Oh, hey, Kai. Hey, Kai, this is for Jeremy and the excellent ice cream. Are you talking about the sundae ice cream? Oh, Kat. Sorry, I almost read your name as confused you with Kai because your name is similar. It's one letter different. Are you talking about the sundae ice cream video? That was horrible. That was the worst video I've ever made. I'm never doing that again. On or off camera. The Jeremy Fund. Oh yeah, I probably should write that down. Jeremy. He'll be happy. Suddenly just like drop $5 on his desk. Be like, what? People gave you money? I did that before. Someone donated on the recent video I did. So we got Jeremy a Minecraft book that he wanted, another one. Oh, Nastaria! Nastaria S. Sorry I'm late. Oh, I missed you. Where were you the whole time? The whole lesson. Where were you? Sorry I'm late, but here for the quarter of the hour. Thank you. And there's still a little bit more we're going to go over, but the other part we're going to go over is for, I'd say, advanced. Now, there's another section on here for both the descriptive verb sheet and the action verb sheet that has to do with ton. Now, you'll see ton used with descriptive verbs and with action verbs, and the meaning of them is a little bit different, but the way they work's the same, but the usage is different, I should say. Okay, let's see what sentences we have. 선물을 좋아할 것 같아요. Yes, Keith. 철수가 선물을 좋아하는 것 같아요. Yes. 철수가 선물을 좋아하는 것 같아요. Yes. 선물 좋아할 것 같아요. Yes. 선물을 좋아할 것 같아요. Yes. 선물을 좋아할 것 같아요. Yes. 철수 형이 선물을 좋아하는 것 같네요. Yes. 먹는 and 먹고 있는. Yeah, if you want to say eats and is eating. If you want to emphasize that it's currently happening right now, then use the 고 있다 form. But the regular present tense has that meaning in it, but without the emphasis. It could mean eats in general, is eating right now, or tomorrow I'm eating something, like in the future, right? It's kind of everything. The present tense can be used for all that. If you want to emphasize like right now he's eating it, then 먹고 있다. Yeah, and that's called the progressive tense because they'll save you tons of money on insurance. No, I'm just joking. It's called progressive tense. Actually, I don't know if that company's any good or not. Now that I think about it, I've just seen their commercials a lot, along with Geico. Geico had better commercials though, I think. It's kind of hard to pick which insurance company had the best commercials. There was Geico with the "It's so easy, a caveman can do it" commercials. Those were pretty good. And then Progressive with the Flow commercials, which were pretty funny. And then there's also State Farm with the it's Jake from State Farm. Those ones which were also pretty funny and cringy too. There were some that were really annoying. The general ones, oh, I hate those commercials. They're so annoying. The song. And then Allstate. I also didn't like the Allstate ones. So anyway, I don't know what I'm doing. 선물 좋아하는 것 같다. Yeah. 선물을 좋아할 것 같아요. Yes. I think 철수 will like it. And then 아연이 has 철수는 선물을 좋아한 것 같아요. I think 철수 liked the present. Yes, these are really good. Capital One had Vikings. Oh, you're right. The Viking ones. Those are inoffensive. I think they're okay, but I wasn't really a big fan of them. Don't knock the flow from Progressive. No, I'm not. I don't think I'm knocking them, but they're okay. They're memorable. The general one was annoying. It's like, rah, 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 go to the general, save some time. And it's like this 3D computer robot from like the 1980s comes out in like the year 2024 or 2025. You see this like why don't they hire a 3D artist to make those? Or maybe they like that. They just do it on purpose. It's always looked like it's 20 years behind in technology. 877 cash now. It's my money. And I want it now. Or what is it? It's my money and I need it now. Call JG Wentworth. 877 cash. I'm not. They should pay me money if I sing that for them. Oh man, so many commercials that you can memorize the 800-588-2300 Empire. Yes. So many annoying commercials. 1-800-1877. Is it 87 or 800? The Cars for Kids commercial, which I swear they're probably playing in some like prison right now. Yeah, J.G. Wentworth was a classic. I like how the general had to explain they were a legit provider in work. Fair enough, yeah. Okay, you guys have awesome sentences, actually. I'm impressed. I didn't have to ask, but you already did ones that are in present tense, past tense, and future tense. So this is it. This is the reason why you need to learn the different conjugations for all of these verbs. So let me think of another one. I think that, let's do a different one. We've been doing like eats the entire time. Let's do 만들다, to make. Let's do, what are you gonna make? Let's just do kimchi. Sure. 김치 만들다, 김치를 만들다. Either way. 김치 만들다. So, I think this will be the last one. I think that 철수 makes kimchi. Or if you want to be fancy, you can say, I think that 철수 can make kimchi, which is the 수 있다 form. You could say that. I think that 철수 will make kimchi tomorrow. Or I think that 철수 made kimchi yesterday. All of these now, I'm sure you can feel the difference now, but all of these sentences now feel like actual things you could probably say, right? We're not on like, I think that, or now we're not making sentences like the cat that went to Korea, the cat that will go to Korea. Now we're not doing this type of sentence now. Now we're doing actual sentences like, yeah, I think he made kimchi yesterday. And I think he's gonna make kimchi tomorrow. I think he's making kimchi right now, or he can, still present tense, or maybe you could do past tense. I think he was able to make kimchi, but he didn't. Or I think he will be able to make kimchi next year. Right now he doesn't have time, but I think next year he will be able to make kimchi. You could do all of these sentences, and now they actually sound like they make sense. They sound natural now because we're using them with 거 같다, to think. So now they have a purpose. My manager's name was Jake, so we dressed him as Flo from Progressive as Jake from State Farm. That's pretty funny. She sounds hideous. Yeah, well, she's a guy. Okay, Jake from State Farm. What are you wearing? Khakis. That was like the only commercial that they had though that I found memorable. The others I don't even remember. Eats is important. Food is life. Yes. You can't use this with the past progressive. Of course you can. Of course you can. But you would have to do, you'd have to know how to conjugate 있다, which is actually not an action verb in this case. It's being used as a descriptive verb, which wouldn't become 있은 in the past tense. It's because it's a descriptive verb, they have different rules. And I have a separate cheat sheet about descriptive verbs into adjectives, but I haven't released it yet. I have 6 cheat sheets I already released, but this is a new one along with that and some other ones that I'm going to be working on. 철수는 선물을 좋아해 할 것 같네요. 철수 like 선물, 철수 선물을 좋아할 것 같아요. 철수 김치를 만들 수 있는 것 같아요. I think that 철수 can make kimchi. Nice. 철수가 설날에 떡국을 만든 것 같아요. Really nice sentence, Valeria. I think that 철수 made 떡국, so rice cake soup, on the new year. 엄마, so you would just add another mium to the bottom of so it's 엄마가 김치 만들 수 있어요. Okay, that's not the form we're doing, but your sentence is fine. Khakis, yeah. 내일 철수가 김치를 만들 수 있을 것 같아요. Perfect, Kenneth. I think that 철수 will be able to make kimchi tomorrow. And now you have actually a natural sentence. Yeah, I think tomorrow 철수 will be able to make kimchi. 오늘은 안 되는데, 오늘은 안 되지만, today's not okay. Doesn't work today. But 내일은 철수가 김치를 만들 수 있을 것 같아요. I think that 철수 will be able to make kimchi tomorrow. Perfectly fine. 철수가 김치 만들 수 없는 것 같아요. I don't think that 철수 can make kimchi. 철수는 내년 김치를 만들 것 같아요. Yeah, I think 철수's gonna make kimchi next year. 철수는 doer, 김치를 object 좋아해요. Yeah. So I'm also gonna give you one more tip for before we go on to the next tense, I'll say, kind of like a tense. The person who thinks something typically is marked by the topic marker. Now, this is not a rule because that's not how the topic marker actually works. Inside of a quote, someone who does something or something who does something is going to be usually marked with the subject marker. So if you wanted to say, I think Charsu did something or does something, it's going to usually be 저는 or 나는 or whatever, or someone else thinks, Charsu thinks that 내가, I do something, or I think that Charsu가 does something. This is not a rule because you can easily also use this to mark this part too. But generally for like, basic sentences without any other context, this is how it's done. But in context, you can also use this to mark it because the purpose of this is just to bring attention to what you're talking about. So it has a lot of functions by doing that. So you might see this too, but generally if you want a quick answer, this is who's doing the thinking. This is who or what is doing the action. But yeah, there's no rule for that. And I talk about that in my other videos where I explain how to use these, but you'll see them the other ways too. Okay, there's one more tense. We did present tense, past tense, and future tense, but what if I told you that there was another tense? Kind of. There is kind of another tense. There is a tense which is 던. Now, 던 is a past tense. But you might think, Billy, we already learned past tense. Well, calm down for a second. Hold your horses. The way to make this, though, is so simple that you're just going to laugh when you see it. You thought I was going to run out of room, but that's it. No exceptions. I mean it. There are no exceptions to this. You might think, wait, Billy, what about the one with the shield? What about the lir? What about the digit? What about the piep? No, there are no exceptions to this. You literally just slap ton to the end and you're done. I'm not going to make the joke again. You just attach ton to the end, you're done. So this makes an adjective just like before. So again, you can't just say like 좋아하다, 좋아하던. Like that doesn't make any sense. You have to put some noun after it. So you can say, 던 사람, 좋아하던 사람, 먹던 사람, right? 살던 사람, 김치 먹던 고양이. Like you can say anything like that. So what is this form? Well, it's past tense. And it means used to do. So it's not just did. So if you say like 먹다 to eat becomes 먹던, right? It's not 먹은 김치 먹은 사람, right? It's not the person who ate kimchi. It's 먹던 사람, the person who used to eat kimchi. Now, you'll use this sort of form sometimes. You can use it with 것 같다. You can use it with, in context, you're going to see this used as well. But there's another form. Before we talk about more examples of how that's used, there's another form that also means used to do. Let's move this over here. That's also past tense. And that's this one, which has the double shield in it. Now, I promise you, this is easier than you think. And this might look brand new. If this looks brand new to you, don't worry. It's actually easier than you think. So, this one I said you just take a verb stem and you attach ton, and it means used to do. But this new one also has 0 exceptions to it, but you have to already conjugate a verb to the past tense. I'll just write PT. And when you conjugate a verb to the past tense, you always end up with this sort of thing at the bottom where you get like 했어요 or 갔어요 or 먹었어요 or 뒀어요, whatever. In order to get that in the first place, you would have already done the exceptions. Like you would have already attached like, oh, remove this letter and do this. There are already a lot of exceptions to get to here in the first place, just to conjugate it. Because to conjugate past tense, you have to first conjugate a verb normally. Like 가다 becomes 갔어요. So you get a regular verb and you conjugate it normally to the past tense. Then when you get to here, you stop and you attach ton. So it's equally as easy to make if you conjugate the verb already to the past tense. It also, you just slap on ton to the end. So you can either have this form attached directly to the verb stem or to the past tense verb stem. So let me give you a really quick example. 하다 becomes either 하던, or in the past tense, normally you'd get like this, 했어요, right? Well, as soon as you get to that double letter, you stop and then you attach ton. So you can have 하던, sorry, this looks horrible. 하던 or 했던. And both of these mean used to do, and both of these are past tense, but they're different. I'll talk about how they're different in a second, but first, I just want you to take some notes. That's all there is to it. So again, neither of them have any exceptions because this one you already had to do exceptions just to conjugate the verb in the first place. But once you've conjugated the verb normally, you just get to here and you attach ton. So it's the same way they both work. Hey, Flo Purdy. Is this for the cake fund as well? Or is this separate? I'll put it down here, but if you want me to add it to the cake fund, I'll erase this and add it to the cake fund above. Unless you want this to be toward the progressive insurance fund, in which case I am way far from the goal. That's expensive. Think, oh man, insurance has gone up so much. I used to pay like a few $100 for my car, and now it's like $1,000. I don't even have a nice car. It's like, what? What happened? Okay, cake fund works. All right. Let me add this to the cake fund. I do have a insurance fund, and it's just my YouTube ad revenue every month. Okay, thank you again. Okay, so again, this is very easy to make. So let's talk about this. Now, we have ton and past tense ton, and they're both for saying past tense used to, and they're both adjectives. So again, you're not just gonna use them at the end of a sentence. You're not gonna say like 하던 이에요 or anything. It's always gonna be like 하던 사람, 하던 noun, 하던 or 먹던, 살던, 좋아하던, 쓰던, 읽던, anything like that. Something, right? 거 같아요. Sure, I think that someone or something used to do. Sure. So what's the difference? Well, it's actually very simple. I also have this illustrated. There's like a nice little illustration on the upcoming cheat sheet, which I think you'll like. But I'm going to attempt to redraw that here. So future, past. Hopefully you can read that. Okay. So for first, let's look at ton. I'm going to put ton here and then the other ton here. So first for ton, when you use ton, you're saying something that happened in the past, right? Something used to happen, and maybe it also still happens right now. Not in the future, but it doesn't happen in the future, but it definitely happened in the past. So it's something that you were doing for a while. It's not something that you did once. So for example, if you say 입던 for 입다, to wear. If you said something that you used to wear, something that I wore, it also implies that you could still be wearing it right now. 자주 입던 셔츠예요. That's the shirt I used to wear a lot and I still sometimes do. That's what it means. So it's something that you did repeatedly. If you did something once, you wouldn't use this form. You would just say 입은 셔츠. 입은 옷, the clothes that I wore, past tense, once, past tense. 던 is for used to, and when you say used to, that means more than once, right? If you say, oh, I used to go to Korea, it implies like more than once. You don't say, I used to go to Korea. Oh, how long did you live there? Oh, I was just there for a day. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? Used to implies that it happened multiple times over a period of time in the past. So 던 means that. So, this one, however, does not mean it goes on right now. It means it's completely done. You used to, but you no longer do anymore. So, that's the difference. Both of these can translate as used to, but using just the regular ton form means that you might still do it right now. Like, yeah, that's what I used to, that's the shirt I used to wear all the time, and I still do today. But I also used to wear it I've been wearing that shirt for a long time. Ton. Ton. I used to wear that shirt. I haven't. I don't anymore. Which of these forms, ton or past tense ton, do you think is more commonly used? One of them is more common. Far more than the other. Although both of them, you'll see both of them. One of these is far more common. Guess which one? 먹던 피자가 어디 있어요? Where's the pizza that I have been eating? As in, I'm still eating it. Where is it? Yeah. Exactly, Keith. Precious says, I've seen words with shield. Yeah, this isn't referring to like verbs like 있다, to exist, which has that in it already. This is words that you make the past tense and get that double S letter. Okay, a lot of people guessing ton. Some people guessing past tense ton. About half and half right now. 먹던, same as 제가 먹던, same, 내가 먹던, 저, 제가 more polite than 내가. Not the same, but sure. Okay. All right, I'll let you know. This one is more common by far. Because usually when you're saying something that you used to do, you're implying in English too, we're implying you don't do it anymore. It's someone who used to 한국에서 살았던 친구가, my friend who used to live in Korea, implies that they no longer do. 그때 입었던 셔츠, the shirt that I used to wear a lot, but I no longer wear anymore. It happened multiple times. I wore it a lot. You wouldn't use this for something that you no longer do. So if you want to say I used to do something, most of the time you mean it no longer happens. But there is a way in Korean also to say, yeah, I have. In English, we might say I have been doing that for a long time. But in Korean, the emphasis is more on the used to feeling and not like I am doing it right now. But it's kind of like have been doing and used to be doing, if you want to compare it with English. But just know it still means used to for both of them. So ton by itself is used to, but I still do it now. Or maybe I do. Maybe I don't, but I might. Yeah, I've been doing that for a while. Maybe I don't right now, but I probably do. Oh, skiing? Yeah, I've been doing that all the time. I used to do skiing, all the time. Even though right now it's like it hasn't snowed in forever. You can still say it. You can use ton because you're implying like, yeah, I could be doing it right now. Or I moved away. I moved to a state where it never snows. And yeah, I used to do ski. I used to do it like that. So that's the difference. That's the only difference between these two. Fortunately, though, they're very easy to conjugate. Like I said, this one is super easy too, but you do have to conjugate the regular past tense first to get it. But you can use it like this. 제가 자주 갔던 곳, place, 곳이에요. It's a place that I used to go to often, but I don't anymore. So it's common to use this one, but you'll hear both. But this is far more common. So if you only learn one, start with this. And that is everything. That is all that I have on this sheet. Now, there is another sheet that's only for descriptive verbs. This one's just action verbs, but descriptive verbs have slightly different rules, different rules that have exceptions. But there also is a ton and past tense ton for descriptive verbs as well, believe it or not. So yeah, that's also on the other cheat sheet. I have like 6 more cheat sheets coming up that I'm working on. So look forward to those. I also have some other videos that I'm working on right now. I'll have some more videos with Jeremy, hopefully sometime next month, as well as a new course that I'm trying to work on, which is going to take a long time. But yeah, there's a lot of new stuff coming up soon. Okay. I used to snowboard. I still do, but I used to do it too. Yes, exactly. 저는 done와 비슷한 발음이네요. Yeah, it's kind of like done. I had done. Yeah. 행복했던. So that's the descriptive verb. That's not action verb, but it's the same form, the same usage as well. Something that no longer is, but used to be. 행복했던 for happy, 행복하다. But that's for descriptive verbs. I actually covered how to do descriptive verbs in a live stream before. We did actually did a couple. I did one where I taught it and then one where we just did practice like this. But yeah, that is the lesson for today. I mean, it's not really a lesson, but that was the practice for today. This was just a bonus live stream. Any questions? I'm going to stick around for just like 20 minutes maximum, and I'll stop at like 4 o'clock. This strawberry flavor though tastes pretty good. I always have like some random caffeine drink. The strawberry one kind of reminds me of, is anyone old enough to know if I say Dr. Dreadful? Does that make any sense to anyone? There was like it was like a kids food, kids candy science kit that they sold when I was a kid. And they had some like fun things you can make, like zombie brain, zombie skin or whatever. And some of the strawberry flavored zombie skin, I think it was, tasted kind of like this strawberry flavor. It's disgusting. That's what I'm trying to say. It was gross, but kind of is nostalgic. 안 행복한데 기뻐. That doesn't make sense. I'm not happy, but I'm happy. 안 행복한데 기뻐. Does not make sense, but grammatically it makes sense, and someone could say that jokingly, but it doesn't make any sense. Sounds like something like Yogi Berra might say. 이거는 읽었던 책이에요. Yes, this is a book that I had read. I used to read it. Bug candy. Yeah, they had bug candy too. They're like little spiders that were it was kind of like gummy. Kind of like gummies. Mom asks, what would you recommend for someone who struggles to come up with their own sentences on the spot when practicing speech in Korean? I would say make short sentences. If you're trying to come up with it on the spot and you need it right now, a shorter sentence is going to work better than a long sentence. Longer sentences, you have time to make those when you're writing notes, when you're talking to yourself, and there's no pressure. You can kind of put together longer sentences, but in the moment, short sentences are the way to go. His hair was exploding. That's right. You know, another funny fact, I bet you didn't know this. Dr. Dreadful was played by the same voice actor as the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt, as well as not Bugs Bunny. Oh, what's his name? You know what I'm talking about. The Bugs? No. Buster Bunny. I was like, it starts with a B and it was stuck on my tongue. Buster Bunny from Tiny Toons was also the same voice actor. They had an episode where Buster Bunny in Tiny Toons does a Crypt Keeper impression, and it was, the same guy doing the voice. But then they replaced the actor with a different person after that, I believe. But originally it was him. 내가 좋아했던 사람은 강아지가 있어요. The person I liked has a dog. Do you have any tips for remembering vocabulary, or is it just something that takes a long time? Yes, green tea. Memorizing vocabulary is all about having enough exposure to it and a little bit of practice so that it can stick to your brain. If you don't have enough listening resources, then it's going to be really hard to get enough of that exposure from only doing vocab, like vocab decks, like reviewing words. If you're just reviewing the word and you see it a bunch, that's not really going to be enough to learn that word. Like for something like if you're doing Anki or a regular vocab deck study, you actually need to experience the word in real sentences to really help it stick. And then you need to use it. So, I mean, you can keep reviewing vocab from vocabulary decks, that's fine. But in order for it to start sticking, you're going to have a lot of listening exposure and then at least a little bit of practicing speaking it. But it's normal if it takes a long time. Keith says, very short. If I try a long sentence, I make all kinds of mistakes or it takes 5 minutes. Yeah, that's what you want to do, is just start with short sentences And eventually your short sentences, you'll be able to connect them together to make longer sentences. In fact, that's what a new course that I'm working on right now is for sentence connectors. It's all about sentence connectors, things that you use to connect sentences and words together. So yeah, that won't be out for a few months though, because it's really a big course. Had done happy, says Ji-Hoon Lee. 했던 행복, 행복했던. You can't do 했던 행복, but you could do 행복했던. Subject, object, verb. Yeah, more complex would be the subject and the time come at the beginning. And then the location, if you want, or a person that does something, another subject. And then you would have object and then verb. And in between any sort of verb or subject or location, you can also have an adjective. Between a verb and an object, you can also have an adverb. So it's a little more complicated. But yeah, it's generally subject, object, verb if you look at it without anything else in the sentence. And depends how complicated you want to look at it, but that's the general format. Keith says, as far as contributing to Billy Go Corp, I like that you think I have a company behind this. It's just me. It's just me. There's no one behind here. I mean, sometimes I'll ask my wife to help make sentences because she's native Korean. Sometimes I'll ask her like, hey, can you come up with a couple sentences that are longer that we can use for this? But there's no, like, I don't have an employee. I don't have an assistant. It's just me. But yes, the lowest fees. I mean, I'm not going to be picky about that. You can contribute whatever is convenient to you. But the lowest fees are directly through PayPal, I believe, because then I have to pay. Hold on, let me just make sure this is still focused. I have to pay fees from PayPal, but they're like the regular transactional fees. I think it's like 2 or 3% or something like that. Whereas any other platform will have their own additional fee on top of that. So yeah, PayPal, or there's like a donation button on my website. That's actually the lowest way to do it because it lets you directly send something to me, either from PayPal or Stripe, either of those. But if anyone donates through YouTube, it's still fine. YouTube takes their percentage, but it's okay because it's something I wouldn't have gotten it anyway if YouTube didn't have that as an option. Who do we make the check out to? Just write Billy Go on the envelope and throw it in the mailbox. I promise you it'll get to me. You don't need an address. Just write Billy Go. Or just write KeyCat if you want to send KeyCat. Just KEYKAT. Maybe draw a picture of a bear so the mailman knows, or mailwoman or mail person, I don't know, so that they know what you're talking about. Draw a little teddy bear. Stick it in the mailbox. Put a stamp on it. Should get to me. If you don't know, Papago has good text-to-speech. Yeah, text-to-speech is fine. Text-to-speech has been pretty good for a long time. Don't trust the pronunciation though, because sometimes it doesn't know how to read things correctly and it doesn't translate things correctly a lot, but it's okay for like a quick, like to check something. Why can I speak Korean but not understand it? How do I get better at understanding it? You need more practice. That's the short answer. If you want to give me more details about your situation, I can give you more specifics though. I'll give that person a box or a cup as a present. Oh, you would give as a something, you would probably use the 로 or just 로 particle. So like 선물로 as a present. Notice how this also, because it ends in that letter, it becomes 로 and not 선물로 like that. Danielle, hold on, I have to convert again the pesos. Oh wait. Whoa. I was expecting it to be like a few bucks. That's like $50. It says $47. Daniela, wow. Thank you so much. And you have a question as well. Hi, Billy. Long time no see. Thank you for the amazing lesson. You're welcome. How is KiKat doing? Let's get KiKat out here. Hey, KiKat. KiKat, someone wants to see you. Come down for a second. Come on, wake up. Yes, a second. Okay. It'll be really quick. Yeah. Yeah, KiKat's doing pretty good. I think KiKat was trying to take a nap though, and I just woke her up. Yeah, Daniela asks, "How are you doing?" Okay. Yeah, she's doing good. She's a little bit bored lately. Oh no, your little bow is coming off. Stick that back on. Yeah, she's a little bit bored lately, she says, because there hasn't been any work for her. Does she join Jeremy when he reads? No, she's usually in the closet. In fact, she's trying to go back there again. She's usually in the closet sleeping. Just wait a second. Be polite. She's usually in the closet sleeping though, because that's where she's most comfortable. I think right now she was actually hibernating because it's wintertime. But I'll be pulling her out again. We're going to do some more videos in Korea, and yeah, we're going to do some more videos in Korea. So you'll get to see her a little bit more in the future. All right. You can go later. I'll see you later. 행복했던 가족. A family that was but no longer is happy. Be correct in the context of a story talking about a family where something went wrong. Yes, it would. Something went wrong. Yes. 행복했던 가족. 그때 행복했던 가족. The family that was happy then. As in, is no longer happy. Yes. Annie asks a question. How can someone get over the anxiety of speaking Korean in front of native speakers? Even friends and boyfriend. If it's you and the person and a group of people, that can be pretty difficult to get over because you feel like you're like putting on a show, right? Everyone's looking at you and waiting. What are they going to say? How are they going to say it? But if it's you and one person in private talking together, that should be less stressful. So at least first start there. Try to have it as a one-on-one. It's easier when they're the one that leads the conversation. When you have to lead a conversation, it's harder because you need to keep thinking about what do I say? What do I ask? So I recommend asking them a question, getting them to speak so that they're leading the conversation and you're just kind of like answering and nodding and giving your opinion sometimes. I'd say try to ask as many questions as you can. And this is kind of a pro tip. You'll see other YouTubers or I won't say YouTube because it's any social media, any other social media linguists, or let's say polyglots. That's a word that some of them like to use. You'll see other social media polyglots using this same trick. And the trick is you ask them a question about a topic that you already know how they're going to respond. That way, you don't have to actually know the language. You just have to know how to ask that question in a few words to understand what they're talking about. But you have to make sure you are controlling the conversation by asking questions. That's kind of how you can, not saying that they're doing this, but this is a trick that exists. Hold on, this tablet just died. Got to charge this again. If you ask them questions, you're making them talk, and then when they finish their question, if you have something else, ask them another question. And when they're talking, be like, ask them follow-up questions while they're talking. Get them to talk. You don't need to talk. Get them to talk. That's what I would do. Though seriously though, that's a good way to keep a conversation going without having to speak at that level, is just getting the other person to talk. And when they get comfortable speaking Korean with you, that's it. Then you're good. You're golden. You're going to have lots of experience. You're going to be able to practice with them in the future again, once they feel comfortable using Korean to you in the first place. Like I had a friend I made a friend 3 years ago, and we only spoke in English. They knew I studied Korean, but we only spoke in English. And then when we met, as soon as I started speaking Korean, they've never spoken another English word to me ever again. Because they realize, oh, I'm more comfortable speaking in Korean because this guy actually speaks Korean. So I'm more comfortable that way. And now we only speak in Korean. I've never spoken a single, well, actually I can speak English to them, but they've never spoken a single English word to me. So, if you have a friend that gets comfortable speaking Korean with you and that they feel you can understand kind of what they're talking about, then you're going to have that friend using a lot of Korean to you in the future as well. Okay, now I'm looking this way because my tablet already died. 행복했던 가족. Good job, but I'm not sure that they're still happy. Yeah, they're not happy anymore. That's right. I answer spam phone calls in Korean. Just wait until the Indian guy on the other line actually is studying Korean. Well, then great. You got a free conversation partner. That would be a good idea. One of those like scam call centers. Are they all in India? No, they're probably in some other countries too. Low key calling are a few polyglots. I'm not going to name anyone. I'm just saying that's a technique that you could use if you wanted to get other people to think that you spoke a language. If you didn't, then that's a trick you could use. But no, it seriously is a good way to have a conversation, especially for lower levels, because your goal as a beginner is actually just to keep a conversation going. You don't need to have fluent conversations as a beginner, but you do need to have as much conversation practice as possible. And the only way to do that is to have a conversation and to keep it going. And the only way to do that is to get them to do the talking so that you get conversation, you get listening practice, you get some speaking practice, and then you do as best of a job as you can to respond and then keep them talking. Ask someone about something that you think they're going to be interested in talking to you about. So if you see someone who like cooks, ask them, how did you make this? They're probably going to be happy to tell you. Ask someone, what do they like doing? What's something they enjoy doing lately? Ask them something that you think they're going to want to talk a lot about. I actually answered a spam call with Korean once, says Nastarian. The guy got scared and started yelling at me before he hung up. I never tried that before. 여보세요? Hello, I'm calling from Microsoft Window. 네? 뭐라고요? 창문에서 전화를 걸고 있다고요? You're calling from a window? 창문이라고요? I think spam call centers are all Daleks now. Yes. Those little robots, right? From, is that Doctor Who? I think, yeah, right? That's the Doctor Who robots, right? I want to try conversations, but my listening skills aren't that good, so I wouldn't be able to follow the conversation. You'd be surprised. If it's a simple conversation, you probably could still do something with it, but you want to still get a certain amount of listening practice before you bother with a conversation, not because you're going to be annoying the person or anything like that, but because if you can't understand anything, then trying to have a conversation is pretty useless in that point. So I would try to get a bunch more of exposure first before necessarily stressing about trying to find practice partners. You can practice speaking yourself, but try to get a bunch of listening practice. So at least when they speak to you, even if you don't know the word, you'll be able to hear kind of what it sounded like that they said. Or maybe you'll hear the word, you just don't know what it means, but you could search it. When you get to that level, that's when I think it's okay to start. Once the spam was my bank. Yeah, anytime I get a phone call from my bank, I'm always like really cautious. I'm like, you know what? I'll call you back. If they start asking me for any details, I'm like, oh, I'll call you back. And they're like, okay, fine. And I call them back. It really was them, but still. I can confirm. Billy called Adobe and spoke in Korean. They transferred him to me to de-escalate. I was angry that day. Okay, Kai, I apologize. I was just screaming. And fortunately, they did take care of my problem, which was good. But yeah, I was really upset that time I had to call Adobe. I see Green Tea is talking with the other person. 혹시 이 방송으로 영어 배우고 있나요? 한국 이름 때문이요. It's because of your English name. Are you learning English with this broadcast? I do have some subscribers who comment on my videos and say I'm actually learning English from watching your videos. I've had that sometimes. Okay, I think that's good for today. Any other questions? Any other last minute questions? I gotta tell Jeremy that he got a donation today. He'll probably be really happy about that. I could tell him. I could go tell him now. Let me see. I see what he's doing. Hold on. Well, let me see if I can tell him right now. I told Jeremy, I muted the mic just in case I didn't know what he was doing, what he'd say. But I'm like, Jeremy, 돈 벌었어. Jeremy, you made some money. And he's like, 얼마요? How much? That's his first response though. Jihoon says yes. Oh, Kai! I forgot it's the top of the hour again. Kai, thank you so much. Let's see what Kai wrote. Top of the hour. Oh. All right, 5J. 조금 더 벌었어 방금. Jerry said, "네." He's playing his I think he's playing his Switch right now or his tablet or something. I don't know. So his mind is like focused in his game. Slide $5 to Jeremy to make it an even 10 for our internet nephew. Oh, thanks. So he really does appreciate that. He doesn't have very much money. He spent all of his money he was saving before to buy mine coins in Minecraft. And then he realized that his Switch online subscription is going to expire in a few months. So he's like, oh no, I have to save up. I think it's like $20. He's like, I have to save up money so it doesn't expire. So now he's been saving everything really hard. So he'll be happy about that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Jeremy appreciates it too. He's just not focused right now. His mind is in a different place. Keith says, 감사합니다, 선생님. Is next week back on schedule or off? Yes, next week we'll be back with another lesson. Mom asks, what's the best way to get listening practice? What if I don't understand what's being said because I don't recognize a certain grammar form or vocabulary? Okay, I'll make this the last question. So mom asks a good question. Oh, 방송 is a stream, like a broadcast. It can be a broadcast or a show, but in YouTube, it's used to mean like a live stream. Oh, 생방송 will be live stream. 방송 is just a broadcast. There's something passive versus active listening. There's something called passive listening and active listening. Now, passive listening is what all of you are familiar with. It's probably the only type of Korean listening most people do, and they don't even know that they're doing it. It's literally what its name is. When you watch Squid Game and you put the subtitles on and you read the subtitles. Now, you're listening to the Korean, but your brain isn't. Your brain isn't really paying attention to it. You're hearing it, but that's it. You're reading the English. Passive listening is just you're listening to it as in you can hear it, but you're not focused on it. So if you play a podcast while you're cooking, but you're focused on your cooking, that's passive listening. Now, passive listening is not useless, but it doesn't give you very much. You're not getting very much out of what you're listening. Besides, you hear some similar sounds, you'll hear some similar words. It takes a long time to learn anything at all from passive learning. So passive learning is pretty much useless. I mean, it's next to useless. It's better than nothing, but it's not going to help your study. Active listening. This is what most people do not do, but this is what people who live in Korea and don't try to use their own native language, they just try to use Korean. This is what they're doing. When you have a conversation with someone and you don't understand what they're saying, this is what you're doing because you're focused on what they're saying. Even if you don't understand, you're still focused on what they're saying. This is the kind of listening that actually helps you to learn pronunciation, intonation, some new words, recognize some grammar forms. Now, it's not going to teach you Korean by itself. No one learns Korean just by doing lots of active listening. You have to also practice it yourself along the way, or else it just goes in your brain and leaves your brain. But this is the type that's actually helpful. So if you listen to a podcast while cooking, but you're not focused on your cooking, you're listening to everything the podcast is saying, and cooking is like the second most important thing you're doing. If you're watching Squid Game and you're listening to what they're saying and you're not looking at the subtitles, you only look when you just like don't get it at all. You heard what they said, you're like, what was that word? Oh, and you look, maybe pause it, read the subtitles. Okay. But then go back to just listening. That's active listening. Rarely do people do this unless they're purposely trying to learn Korean. But this is the reason why active listening is the reason why, and the only reason why people who live in Korea learn Korean faster than people who don't. That's it. That's all the difference. It's not because being in Korea, there's like a magical field that surrounds you that helps you learn Korean. It's not just because you have more opportunities to practice Korean, although that is a big part of it. It's because when you're in Korea, everything you're doing, when you're not looking at your smartphone in English or talking to someone in English, everything you're doing is just active listening. You're sitting on a bus and the driver walks up to you and is like, you're like, oh, what did he say? What did he say? Oh, I think he asked about my ticket. Okay. Oh yeah, here. That's active listening. You're really focused on what they're saying. This is what you need. This is not what you need. This is the fun stuff. This is where you just relax. But this is where your brain is stressed. This is where if you go to Korea and you try sitting down with a friend and trying to speak Korean all day and you don't understand them very much and your brain hurts, that's this. If your brain is hurting after listening for an hour or so, you're doing active listening. That's good. I would have conversations with people in Korean for like 4 hours. And at the end of the conversation, my brain hurt. That's active listening. That's what you want. So that's my advice to you. If you can get active listening. Ayakata says, I do active listening with North Korean TV. That is not only useless, but it is harmful to your Korean because they use different words. They use different pronunciation. The TV, in addition, is using not what they actually speak. They're using broadcast version of their language. The same way South Korean news doesn't use standard Korean for speaking. It uses perfectly standard Korean broadcast speak, which is even different grammar. They shorten things down for broadcast because they want to convey, like news articles will be really short and brief. That's not going to help your Korean. And then, yeah, North Korean's even worse. Like, let's say you learned North Korean. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to talk North Korean and South Korean. They're going to think you're either a spy or you're really weird. And North Korean's going to think, oh, and they're going to try to take you if they think you speak really well, because here's a foreigner who speaks North Korean and sounds good at it. No, it's not. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Esmaili, I can't read your name. Sorry. You mean I don't magically learn Korean from drinking the water in Korea? Actually, you do. I take it back. If you drink, there is a water in Seoul, the public drinking fountains in Seoul. There's the brand. They have their brand of tap water called Arisu. You'll see fountains that are labeled with Arisu. It's like that brand of tap water. It tastes really good. You drink this and eat lots of kimchi, you'll also be fluent. But for people who can't do that, for people who can't go to Korea, they can't eat lots of kimchi and drink Arisu every day. This is what you have to do. Yeah, normal water doesn't, but that brand, that type of water does. It's the water of life. Lady Natbook says, Billy, what if you're watching and reading along with Korean subtitles are an exception because that's active. if you're reading Korean subtitles that's actively trying to understand it. That's fine. The problem with that, though, is subtitles most of the time don't match what they're saying in Korean, even the Korean subtitles. And that's the same in English. English subtitles don't always match what they're saying in English because the subtitles are supposed to be for people who are reading, and you can't read as fast as you can listen. So subtitles are usually shortened versions, slightly shortened versions of what the person's saying, just to get the point across. If you know that, though, yeah, that's fine. Reading Korean while listening to it, most of it will match. Still better than nothing. Chiunli says, 영어 어려워요 because of preposition. Okay, let me just make sure I catch up. Judy says, my brain hurts after 5 minutes. That's good. It'll get longer. It starts off as your brain hurts after a few minutes. Then it's your brain hurts after a half hour. Then it's your brain hurts after an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all day. Or you get to the point where I'm at and your brain just doesn't hurt anymore unless you're doing something in a new situation. Like if I meet a brand new person and they're like really fast in Korean, then I can get that brain feeling again that I got when I was a beginner. But it gets better. Our brain should hurt if we're doing it right. I mean, it depends what you're doing. Are you like hitting your head with a rock, or are you studying Korean with active listening? Then yeah, it's fine if your brain hurts because it's stressing. You're really focused on trying to understand something. It's like trying to solve a difficult problem and you're like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And you're just thinking about it. That's what your brain's doing. It's organizing things together. That's good. That's fine. Will you ever sell it? Will I ever sell my magic Korean? No, but I'll give it to you for free. These, the new cheat sheets coming out are going to be free. Just like the last one, they'll be completely free. There will be a high resolution version for like if you want to print it on a poster, which will be from the $1 tier. But this size to print it on a regular piece of paper and have it look perfect, this size is already free. I'm sorry, will be already free. Billy, is it possible to cash out my dabs? Yes, you can, Cosma. Cosma's going to cash out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. The exchange rate right now is 1 to 1. I don't know how it's going to be in the future, but right now it's still like that. Okay, let's just finish reading the comments. I don't even know Korean language was difficult before learning English. Oh yeah, Korean's fun. Korean is very fun. Kat says, I met her on a transatlantic cruise. He was a captive audience. Okay. Rico says, I just finished your 90-minute video of learning Hangul and now I am a bit lost. Oh yes, so here I have something for you. So the 90-minute video was actually my first video where I explain Hangul and like sound change rules. But back in 2020, I uploaded a full course. Now the first few episodes are pretty much a repeat of the Hangul episodes. So don't skip them because it still has other information, but you'll be able to go through those really quick. You won't have to bother like pausing and reviewing. You can just watch them for like the first 9 episodes. Beyond there though, we'll take you up to like basic sentence level. So I would start there. And again, completely free, 100% free course. Kai says, I'd like my dabs too, please. Oh, I better stop the stream before everyone starts cashing in. Okay, let's see what Kai, what do we got? Kai's got 20. My goodness, 20. Wait, are we cashing in the Jeremy ones too? I guess we could cash in those too. Yeah. Okay, so 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I gotta have Jeremy do these dabs too sometime. He can dab pretty well. He can dab really naturally, I found. I've grown an appreciation for auto-translated Korean for that reason. The tech has gotten better in the past couple of years. Sometimes, though. Sometimes, yeah. There's a North Korean song called 말하요 다요. No, that's an older version of. This isn't a North Korean thing though. This is just an older grammar thing. 하요 is older. Today we would use it as hey for 하다. Like 하다 becomes 해요, right? 해요. But originally hey was 하요. And you'll still see it. Like 되다 becomes 돼요, or these days you'll see 돼 more often. But it's the same thing. 하요 or hey. And then hey Nastaria. 1 second, Nastaria. And then 다오 is an older ending, which means 주세요, basically. But it's actually like more like 주어, like 줘요, like give me. So this is a polite way. So 줘요. So please tell me. 말해줘요. Nastaria. Thank you. I was just about to end the live stream. I get a nice final donation. Thank you, Nastaria. Let's see what Nastaria wrote. This is for Jeremy. Everyone's giving all their money to Jeremy. Let's do 10J. So Jeremy got, let's see, what did Jeremy get today? 15, 20? What's that after YouTube takes their cut? That's still like 12, 13. He can get another book with that. He probably would get another book with that. Thank you. I'd also like to cash out my dabs. All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Fall over. Getting dizzy from these dabs. Okay. I've wondered before if North Korea is much different aside from English words. I mean, they think they're special because they don't use the English words, but they use the Russian words. It's literally the same problem. 말하요 다오, right? A little bit old version, but some Korean using same meaning. Yeah, you'll still hear it used today as an old version. Nastari says, it's the first time I've ever decided to cash in dabs. Can I have my singular dab cashed in? Yes, you can, Mom. Any other exchanges before we total everything? I should probably tell. Oh, let me get Jeremy. Well, let me ask him. 들어와. 아니 잠깐 들어와. 제레미가 내 구독자들한테
지금까지 얼마 받았어요?
아니 그거 내려놓고 스위치 내려놔.
지금 제 친구하고 게임해서 저 안 돼요.
아 그래? 이 유튜브 when we take out the YouTube 한 12불? 12불 정도 벌었어. 그러니까 책을 살 수 있다고. 무거워. 제레미, can you do one dab? 그래. 이제 내려가.
네.
아 고맙다고도 해줘.
고마워요.
Okay, he's heavy. I can't pick him up anymore. He's in the middle of playing a game on Switch with his friend, so that's why he was holding a Switch and he's like this when he dabbed. But okay. I'm gonna stop the live stream in like 1 minute. I'm just reading, making sure I'm not missing any comments. Ariella says, I was watching your videos And I was really confused on isoyo ending. Is it to ask a question? It could be. If you ask it as a question, isoyo, it's a question. If you don't, it's isoyo. There is. Questions in Korean are simply made by changing the intonation and slapping a question mark on the end. Now, there are some forms that are specifically used for questions, but in general, that's how it works. So, isoyo, is there? Isoyo, there is. Okay. Kat asked, do you meet fans when you're in Korea? Yes. I'll probably do another fan meetup sometime early January. I'm sorry, not January. Early June. I'll be going to Korea again this year toward the end of May. So maybe early June, I'll do another fan meetup. I don't know exactly when, but I'll announce it as it gets closer. There will be an RSVP Google form. I did that last time as well, where you RSVP if you want to attend, just so I can know about how many people are coming. And we'll do like a live Q&A. I'll film a video there with anyone who wants to be in it. If you want, I'll sign like an autograph, take a picture with you, anything like that. How long until you felt comfortable or safe speaking in Korean? I mean, I lived in Korea, so I was forced to do pretty much. You don't have a choice. You have to speak Korean, especially I was in Busan, where fewer people speak good English there at the time. But comfortable. It depends. Basic things like asking directions, ordering food, that doesn't take that long when you're doing so much active listening and practice. It doesn't take that long to feel comfortable at basic stuff. But completely for anything didn't happen for years. I don't know exactly what had happened, but like when I would be able to meet someone and feel completely comfortable speaking with them, I don't know exactly when. I know like now it's fine, but I'm not sure when that happened because it didn't really suddenly happen. It's like slowly getting easier and easier. And then one day I'm like, oh, I guess I did get better that I can feel comfortable now, but I don't know when it happened. But yeah, it can be a long time. Keep in mind though, I don't currently spend all my time in Korea. So like most people, I'm not in Korea for most of the year. But the more practice I do speaking, the more listening practice I do, the faster, the better I get. So even now I still feel myself getting better than I was like a year or so ago or 2 years ago. My Korean now is still better than that because I keep practicing it on a regular basis. Are the fan meets only in Korea? Yeah, I have only done them in Korea so far. I've done like 4. Wait, let me think. 5? I think I've done 5. I think maybe 4 or 5 so far. And they've all been in Korea. $15. Well, YouTube takes, I believe, 40%. So 20, right? 5, and 10. So 20, and then YouTube takes 40%. So 12 is what I'll get after from the YouTube conversion, which is normal. Like I'm not complaining about that. It's just YouTube hosts the videos. They do a lot of work for the videos to exist. But the book, I know there's a Minecraft book he wants, and I know it's under $12. In fact, I think it's like 10 or something like that. So he'll probably get that. But I'll let him pick. I just know he was bugging me to get him that other Minecraft book. Does your household speak more Korean on average than English? Yeah, I think so. If you're in my house right now and wrote down how many English words do you hear, except for this live stream, which is, I do it in English. If you wrote down which words are more heard often, you'd get more Korean than English, probably. Because Jeremy only speaks Korean to his mom. She only speaks Korean to me, and I speak kind of a mix. And I'll speak kind of a mix, mostly English though to Jeremy. It depends, but we do mostly Korean when we're out and about in Korea, or when we're out and about doing something, we also mix it. But if it's just me and him at the house by ourselves, we'll just do English. So it kind of depends. You need your Venmo on the board. I don't have a Venmo, but that's not a bad idea. via PayPal. It's okay. I'm not, like I said, I've never complained about this once because my channel wouldn't exist if they weren't paying the bills to stream it. Like this stream, every time I do a live stream, I don't know if you noticed, but if you watch the live streams, there are no ads during these live streams. I put ads in after they've gone up because YouTube will just automatically do that. But like YouTube lets me stream the videos, upload them for free. I can turn off ads on whatever videos I want. So it's kind of nice. So I think they're doing a decent service for taking a certain portion of the fee. I want them to stay around. But yeah, I do also, PayPal's fine. Some people do that. Like if you're doing like a really big, some people have done like a really big donation. In that case, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably do it through PayPal just because, but other than that, I don't care. Okay, I think that's enough for today. I'm very happy. Jeremy's very happy. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And we'll have another lesson on this coming Friday. It'll be some topic. I actually don't know. I have to check, but there will be some topic for next Sunday and there will be a worksheet and an outline for that. So thanks for coming today. And make sure also to check out my Discord channel. Let me plug that in here. Yeah, that's fair, Mikey. That's fair. Like, I don't mind, but if you mind, go right ahead, whatever's more comfortable. But yeah, there is a direct donation link on my website. In fact, if you do a donation through there, I also send you a message. If it's like over, I think it's like over $5 or something like that. I also send you like a little quick email message for everyone who donates from there as well. For people who don't come to the live streams, they just donate through there. They don't get to hear me say thanks. They don't get to see my dabs. They get a message. Kai? Sending what? Okay, well, I don't know when, so I'm not going to pressure you, but I'm just going to turn off the stream now. Hold on. Okay. Any other last minute questions? Hi, you actually sent it. Let's see, I'll show you. Since you're curious, let me see. Okay, so Kai sent 20 through PayPal directly. PayPal takes $1.07. That's it. That's the fee. There are no other extra fees on top of that. So the $20 donation becomes a $19 donation. So yeah, it's better, but I'm okay either way. Thank you, Kai. Kai, do you want to cash out? Do you want to allocate this differently? Do you want to cash out the extra 20? Let me know, and that'll be the last thing we do today. Why don't you live in Korea permanently, Mom asks. Because I just miss the food in the US. I would miss the food too much. Korea has the best Korean food in the world. Which sounds, I know it sounds like a really dumb statement. Duh. But it's not something, it's really, that's it. They have the best Korean food in the world and that's it. If you want Korean food every day, it's the best place to be. I love Korean food. Every week, I want to have Korean food several times. Like 5 out of 7 days a week, Korean food's the best. 6 out of 7 days, I'm totally fine. 7 out of 7, I want a little bit of other food sometimes. Sometimes I might want Indian food. I might want something from America. I want American food or fast food. I might want German food. They have some restaurants there. Like I might want a specific country of food and it's harder to get that. You can get Korean versions of that easily, but to find authentic, it's hard and sometimes impossible, at least without paying a ton of money to get the authentic version. Whereas in the US, I can get like authentic everything. I can even get authentic Korean. So that's what I would miss a lot, as well as the weather. I like the weather in the US. It's better, especially Los Angeles. I like the air quality is usually better here. Korea, sometimes the air can be quite bad lately. Not terrible though, most days, but sometimes it really irritates my throat. But here, usually it's clean. Just a lot of little reasons. But another reason is also price. I wouldn't be able to afford to have like my own room for filming. You can see, actually you can't really see it, But I have this is like a little room I film in. I wouldn't be able to afford to have like a separate room in my house if I were in Korea. So just a lot of little reasons that I'm living here. But I do go to Korea 3 or 4 months out of every year. So I mean, yeah, I do still live there as well, just not as much as here. Okay. Totally doing PayPal from now on. Keep that in mind for next week. And no, I'll take a gamble and save my tabs. $10 for Jeremy. Wow, Jeremy's making bank today. I mean, I know, like, 15, 25, 35. $35 is like, it's a meal for an adult, but for a kid, that's like getting a paycheck. Jeremy's. Oh, and that's actually 10. That's actually 10 because it was from PayPal. All right. Okay, I really should go. My tablet died like an hour ago. I'm just rambling now. I'm looking at the screen because I can't look at my tablet. Mikey says, can't give up the Mexican food. I can't. Every 2 weeks, at least once every 2 weeks, I have to have Mexican food. It's the tiny bit of Mexican blood that I have from my grandmother, who was actually fully Mexican. That tiny bit of Mexican blood that I got through that side of the family. I can't give up Mexican food. Like, I feel like there's a part of me that's like, I need tacos. I need an enchilada. I need tamales, like right now. So there's a part of me that says that sometimes, like at least once or twice a month. Like, I need it. And you can't get that in Korea. It's not the same. It doesn't. Nope. Anyway. Okay. No, total 10 for him, but 30 for you. Fair enough. Okay, I see what you mean. He's got a lot. I mean, technically, the donations for me also end up going to Jeremy because, like, we'll buy food with it and Jeremy eats the food. But I know what you mean. Okay, that's enough for today. I really need to stop. I've gone 30 minutes over. Thank you for everyone who stuck around for all of this. Hopefully you learned something about changing verbs into adjectives. And again, this will be a free cheat sheet that's going to be released in a few weeks, as well as one on descriptive verbs. And I have 4 more additional ones on top of these 2 that I'm working on. So look forward to those coming out sometime in the next few months. Take care, everyone. And I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.